Yeah, confirmed 1080p here as well.
Thank you, McTrying. Good morning, guys. Okay, so this is going to sound funny for the guys who have been on stream with us, but for those of you that join later, um, apologies. You need to understand the stream had to be broken up and we had to retry more than once to get it going. We are back on 1080p now, so I hope you guys are happy. I sure was not happy if it was not, so now I'm happy as well. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you for everybody else that has confirmed. I do appreciate that. I need to make sure that I do not listen to myself. No echoing. Just need to kill that stream quickly. Alright, so today we are talking, just to recap quickly, for those who have not been here before. I need to quickly recap about what we were talking about. We're talking about flight planning. We're talking about where do you get your flight plans? How do you determine your active runways? How do you actually plot the route? All these kind of things. So there are entry-level simmers. There are guys who've learned quite a bit. They can help themselves, but they're not flying online with ATC yet. And then you obviously have the guys who fly with ATC. So what happens is the entry-level guys, need more help. The middle guys need a little help, and the guys who fly with VATSIM obviously will get directed by the air traffic controllers, whether it's VATSIM, IVAO, Pilot Edge, whatever, and they will determine the SIDs and the stars, for instance. But so we're going to start from one place now. Martin, you are welcome, and I'm glad it's back to the 1080p. Our first stop is going to be our control panel, where we get our flight route from, because we fly for virtual Ryanair, me and Uncle John and a few other guys here. And typically we're going to book a flight. We're going to decide we're going to fly from Dublin to Bristol. We're going to book the flight, and then the system is going to give us a route. So that's one place where we can get a route. This is very good for Europe because that's where Ryanair operates. It's not this particular login is not going to help you if you want a route in South Africa, or if you want a route in Australia or in the US. There are other ways to get your routes over there. In the US, for instance, we use Flight Aware. Guys, tell me when it comes on screen there. Can you guys see it?
This is on.
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
Negative.
Now it's up.
All right. Okay. Angel, Flight Radar 24 is no good in the world of flight simming because you don't have the same winds until you have the same winds. You don't have the same operating procedure at the airport until you have the same operating procedure. So the only thing that you're going to get from that is use it when you fly offline. Don't use it when you fly online, because you're going to clash with somebody who is actually following the rules, or you're going to have a supervisor breathing down your neck when an ATC goes and tell him that you're making a problem for him. So if you use Flight Radar 24, make sure you don't interfere with online operations. Use it on your own. Keep it off the simulation world because it's irrelevant. Using Flight Radar 24 when you are flying online is just as good as asking the weatherman what the weather is doing on Mars. It's two different planets, it's two different worlds, it's not related, it doesn't touch each other. You can test it if you have the time to waste. The VATSIM servers, because it's a free service, can take up to an hour or more to update to the relevant weather. Usually, typically 15 minutes, but it can take up to an hour. We've had it with virtual AWOS, where I was showing the guys on one of the other streams, where it literally took the VATSIM servers 20 minutes to update after NOAA already updated. So, I mean, there's this hell of a big discrepancy in time that you might miss because you are bringing the Mars weather to Earth. It's not the same world. You have to operate with the weather in the world that you operate in when you fly online, especially. If you want to use the other stuff, do it when you're not flying online. Then by all means do what you want. You're not going to affect anybody. But fights have started because of wrong information, so be careful with that. All right, so
Thank you, Nico. Thank you.
pleasure. All right, then this is obviously now flight aware. So this is very good for the US. And we said we were going to look at KBWI as the origin, and we're going to do Providence there as the destination. So if you look at where we get our flight plans for the US, it's given to you on a literal tray. It's for free. You type in your airports and there you go. There it shows you the most frequent route is listed there in popularity. It will show you. And then if you read from the top down, that is the very last flight that went between those airports. If I can just highlight it like that. All right, and you can see it was a Southwest. It gives you the identification. It gives you the aircraft. That was a 737-700. It gives you the flight level, and it gives you the actual real world route. So it's a no-brainer. You just go and you copy and paste that, and you put that into Simbrief or PFPX, whatever, and you run your route from there. Same goes now for us with Ryanair. We go and we copy that route, we paste it into Simbrief. We're going to do it just now. I'll show you. You just run it. In terms of South Africa, must just find that little file quickly. Our air traffic navigational services publish what they call a route matrix, and this is the route matrix. So if I want to fly from Johannesburg to Cape Town, that is the relevant route. And this is now typically what I was referring to earlier on the previous broken stream. There are propeller, SIDS, and stars involved. And if you look at that very line over there, see if we can zoom in a little bit. If you look at that piece that's in the brackets, that is the propeller portion. Okay, so that's what your Dash 8s fly. That's not for the jets. And this is typically what we found previously in Simbrief is the guys don't know any better. So they just go and they grab a route and they put it in there. And this is why I say, check it, double check it. If you don't have any other means, just accept it's true, But when you go fly online, it will become a problem. But then again, that's where the ATC comes in. He's going to help you, right? He's going to tell you, listen, not so, do it so. So anyway, so these are typical places where I get my routes from. You can actually use a website called Route Finder as well. I have not found it very reliable, and it didn't really do it for me. So I'm not sure if you don't fly for a VA where exactly to find proper routes and the routing. I mean, it's not this flight aware doesn't work in Europe. The European guys just do not publish their routes like the American guys do. So I'm not sure where you guys are going to get that. If somebody knows, you can leave a comment, or if any of you guys know, I asked you this earlier, chirp in, tell us. But for free, I don't know of any other website like this that really gives you proper real world routes. You're going to get simulator routes, and you're going to get all kinds of simulation made routes, but it will probably not be 100% like this. Okay, so anyway, let's not dwell on that. It's not important. The next step for us, once we've decided where we want to fly from and to, and getting the little route, is obviously to go and create this thing in Simbrief. But I'm not going to do it right now. I can do it halfway or a little bit of the way. We're going to paste that in there, but then we're going to leave it. From my own experience and from what I went through with Uncle John and some of the other guys in the recent couple of days, and this is why we're talking about visual flight planning. I've picked up a couple of issues that I would like to kind of address and maybe fix if possible. So I'm going to jump, first of all, we've got the route now. So I'm going to jump to my Navigraph and I'm going to click on flights. Then I'm going to click on a new flight. Guys in Discord, I want to try something. I want to quickly, no, it won't work. I can't broadcast this to you. Sorry. I obviously have to now wait 10 seconds before you guys see this. Because you hear me talk, but you don't see it. So we go flights, new flight, and then tell me when you guys see the new flight dialog.
It's up.
Okay.
Up.
Right. Okay, so we're going to go to manual input. We're going to tell it the origin airport, EIDW, Dublin. Our destination is going to be EDDG. Why are you not upping my G? Just thinking. Is it EGGD? Sorry. There we go. Bristol. EGGD. Right, so we're going to create it. And it shows us the direct path. There's nothing in between. All right. So what I then would recommend is we go to type a route. There's a menu item there called type a route. Then we substitute the direct to and we paste that flight route that we got from Ryanair into there. Same's going to go. I'm going to show you the one for FlightAware later as well. So that's step one. That already gives you an idea, fair idea of what's going to happen. Visually, it's more appealing doing it this way. You can obviously, and I know a lot of guys do it this way. Uncle John's used to doing it the other way as well, where you go to Simbrief, you type it in and you rely on that thing to give you the correct information. But when we do the visual flight planning and it starts showing us this, our next operation, the next requirement is going to be to determine the active runway. All right, and this is where virtual AWOS comes in that Uncle John was talking about. So that's virtual AWOS over there. We're going to use the standalone version and we're going to use EIDW and that gives us EIDW. It's going to take a second or three to just download the data for us. All right, so currently our wind, as you can see there, it's coming from 110 knots directly there, which means that just by looking at it, runway 10 should be active because the aircraft takes off and lands into the wind. Now, if it was on the other side, you can manipulate this to just make the correct runway active. The highlighted runway is the active runway. The one in white is the dead side. Okay, so just to clarify that as well. So we're going to have runway 10 as active. Now, this brings us to a next level question. If you're flying, you're just a gamer, you're not going to care about this. If you are more advanced and you want to simulate a little bit better, then runway 10 is going to be the active runway. But if you're going to fly online and you want to incorporate your standard operating procedures of the actual airport, you're going to have to check that. I'm trying.
Yeah, I'm just going to let you do your thing this morning.
All right, cool, excellent. Appreciate that. But I'll ask you for your input then when I need
Yeah,
it. Okay.
no, that's
All right.
fine.
So
Anybody who wants to get heavily involved, if you want to know and go to the airport charts,
I'm going to
if
show
you
them.
look at the briefing pages, that often will be departure information for a particular airport.
Yeah, I'm going to show them just now. I'm trying. So again, if you're a gamer, you don't care. If you want to simulate a little bit more proper, use runway 10. If you want to fly online and the SOP of that airport is important, we're going to take it to the next level. So we now know wind is 100 at 10 knots. runway 10 should be active. All right, and there's nothing stopping you as a flight simmer to go into Simbrief and say use runway 10. Nobody can fault you on that, because it's exactly how the aircraft was designed to take off into the wind, right? But let's quickly move this out of the way. Let me show you what McDrying is talking about and what I was alluding to. So if we go and we open the actual chart list for the airport, we go to our briefing. It's not always on page 1, guys, by the way, but over here you're going to see the preferred runway system. So guys on Discord, tell me when you guys can see it, and then we can continue talking.
Nico, quick question, please.
Yes, go.
On the AWAS, you have runway 10 and
Mm.
runway 16 showing.
Yes.
What makes you choose which runway?
On the right hand side, it's irrelevant to me. All right. If I was the air traffic controller, it would have been relevant to me. And then I would have made sure that according to the SOP, it was set up. I'll show you just now. When that other page comes on screen, I'll read through it, and then it will make more sense for you. As a pilot,
So in essence,
it means nothing. Yeah.
in essence, you're not using the right side. You're always using the left side.
Well, that's the primary side. Yes. Yeah. The other one is just information. Okay, guys, are you seeing this preferential runway system on screen?
Affirmative.
Yes.
All right. Okay. So it says between 6 a.m. and 11 p.m. That's obviously just in Zulu time. Runway 10 and 28 is the required runway when the crosswind component is 20 knots or less. So we have, if you recall correctly, 100 at 10 knots. That is our current winds at this runway, at this airport. All right. So it says if it's less than 20 knots, runway 10 and 28 is the preferred runway. So that's why we said runway 10. We all agreed that as a flight simmer, runway 10 is active because of 100 at 10 knots. But it furthermore states runway 28 will be preferred when the tailwind component is 10 knots or less. Okay, so we have a wind of 100 at 10 knots. So 10 knots or less, according to this standard operating procedure at this airport, makes runway 28 the current active runway. I'm going to pull the AWAS back here quickly. Wish I could move it a little bit. Hold on, let's see if we can move this. Put both of them on there together. That'll help a bit. Yeah, there you go. That looks better. Tell me when you can see both together.
Affirmative.
All right, so what I'm going to do, so I'm going to page through at the top, and I'm going to make runway 28. I'm going to just make that marker. That has got no real significance other than just a visual cue. It's just a way to quickly look at which runway is then active in terms of virtual AWAS. Right. So according to the rules, if we follow the actual SOP, and again, this is now for the advanced guys. This is when you fly online and there's ATC. They are obviously following the real world rules, and they're going to say to you, you can't do your planning from runway 10, even though it's not wrong. It's perfectly okay. The SOP at this airport says you need to use 28. If it was 11 knots, you would win. Right now, I'm winning. You guys understand that?
Can I throw a curveball in?
Yeah, just don't make it too harsh.
Often you see those rules, but if you really want to understand, sometimes you have to go to somewhere like FlightAware or Flight Radar and see what they're actually doing currently. And just to throw a curveball in, at the moment, they're using runway 10 for takeoffs.
All right, okay. But then my previous statement is still true. If you are flying by your lonesome self, you can either use runway 10, which is perfectly correct, or you could use runway 28 to simulate the SOP, or you could look, as you said, go to Flight Radar 24 and fly according to real world. That's up to you. It's all up to you when you are all by your lonesome self. But it's going to make a difference when you start flying online and the other guys are adhering to the SOP or not. You see, and if there's an ATC, then obviously he takes precedence. So it can be a bit of a sticky and a thorny situation, but there's nobody that's going to come into your house and say to you, you know what, you took off from runway 10 or you took off from runway 28, you can't do that. But online, there's going to be a supervisor that's going to say to you, 10 guys took off from runway 10, why are you on 28? Or 10 guys took off from 28, why are you on runway 10? You see, and this is where the difference comes into. So
The grey area.
it's one of those fun areas. Call it grey, call it fun, whatever you want to call it. The issue that I'm trying to raise here today is not to confuse you. It's to tell you that there is something that you might not be aware of that's actually dictating how the system works. Now, if you look at Heathrow, for instance, they've got the runway alternation system that runs there. In my heydays, when I used to fly in and out of Heathrow, I used to know it very well. But it took me a week or two to actually figure out properly how it works, because it's confusing. Because it doesn't matter what the wind is doing, a certain time of day, that runway switches. And you need to fall in line with the SOP. And oh boy, once or twice I made the mistake of flying on Watson, and I used the winds. Guys almost wanted to kill me. And this is where the fun comes in, when you start getting more advanced. And that is also why I always ask the question eventually, to what level do you want to simulate? You're going to have to decide, is the SOP important to you, or is the wind important? Are you flying by your lonesome self? Are you flying in a group online? Those things will change the rules as you go on. So all I'm saying to you, to cut it short now, because it's dragging on, is there are different ways of looking at it, and there's more to it than you might think. All right, I hope that makes sense.
Nico, two things. Number one, wouldn't you get the runway use in the ATIS, and wouldn't you get it in the clearance?
In ATIS and clearance, yes, but again, that's ATC driven. So if you fly online, you will get that. If you do not fly online, you will not get it. If you fly by your lonesome self in your basement, you're going to get the METAR, and the METAR is simply going to state 100 at 10 knots, exactly as Virtual AWAS gives it to you. And then you need to decide what runway is in use. You understand? And this is also, we are still only talking about the takeoff runways, but now you get the landing runways. All right, Jose, hold on. Where are you? Let me see where you are. So again, it just comes down to what level you want to actually simulate. But Joe, you will never get a runway allocated to you if there is no ATIS or an ATC driving that ATIS. It will always just be a METAR, and then you have to decide on your own which one you're going to use.
Gotcha, thank you.
All right. Good morning, George. I'm sorry, I can't remember if I actually said good morning. I just noticed you again there. So, all right. So let's leave that there. We're going to assume today. Let's take the middle way. We're not going to use the VATSIM way, and we're not going to use the entry level get in and fire and forget go way. Okay, we're going to use the idea that you are an advanced flight simmer in your own right. You know what you're doing, but you're flying by yourself. It's you and your family at home. Okay, so we're going to use runway 10. So we're going to go and we're going to select runway 10. We're now back in Navigraph, guys. It will come back on your screen just now. Right, so we've selected runway 10, and then we need to select a departure. So if you click just on departures, there's a whole list. And what I like about the Navigraph idea is you simply click on the little I, and it immediately shows you a whole host of standard instrument departures. And if we look at where our route is, there's 2 departures that immediately link up with our route. All right, so guys, tell me when you see that.
It's up.
All right, okay, so we have APDAK to Foxtrot and PESIT to Echo. Those are the 2 best options for us. Not one of these others actually link us up. All right. So if we select the first one, that's not the right one. Sorry, let me just APDAK to F. Go check that name again. In actual fact, it was the right one. APDAK to F. That's the first one. All right. So we see it's got a little bit of a squiggly, and it's okay. It's doable. APDAK to F can work for us. And PESIT to Echo. That's the other one. All right. So this one has a bit less squigglies in it, so it's a little bit less snake-like. I mean, at this point in time, I'm pretty sure you can pick any one. You can take any which one that fancies you. There's no reason to go and take a specific one above the other one. It's all up to you. I see the first one turns very sharply, very quickly. So maybe we should skip that one. Maybe we shouldn't worry about that one. Maybe we must stick to the first one. Yeah. I think that's just more reasonable and more generous because it gives you time to actually start your climb properly. I did not read, by the way. I did not read. I saw it in Germany the other day. I think it was at EDDK. They also have prop routes and they also have jet routes. Now, if I just use common sense just for a second, I'm pretty sure when you look at the little squiggly one that turns so quickly, is probably a prop. We can actually just, for the interest sake, have a look, see if it actually tells us. But I saw it in Germany the other day where they also said this one is reserved for. They gave the propeller names and stuff. Kevin, I would think so. I would think so. Just common sense on my side would say that, it's easier for a jet to use a longer takeoff run than to go and do a squiggly like this. This to me is more in line with what the propeller would do. So I'm not sure. This one doesn't actually specify that I can see, unless you guys see it before I do, but I don't see any specific mention that it's reserved for ATR or a dash or something. But in my mind, I would prefer that one. So visually, again, doing this whole visual planning story, I would just stick with that one. That one just makes better sense for me and the Zibo. So there we go. So that takes care of our initial leg. I just want to quickly link this airport to the bottom as well. All right, you guys will always see when I do my flight planning, I use the pins a lot because I use the shortcuts at the bottom. So the moment I pin something, it goes and sits at the bottom and I can just quickly flip through, the charts like that. All right, so that is the takeoff side of things. All right, let's bring our AWOS back on and change this to the other airport. All right. Okay. Well, this is interesting. We have a wind of 090 at 16 knots. It's literally straight down the runway. You guys can see there 09 is very definitely the active runway. Do you guys agree? Thanks, Martin. Uncle John,
Affirmative.
is it on screen?
Affirmative.
All right. Yeah, sorry, I'm waiting for you guys to tell me if it's there. All right. Okay. So we've got runway 9. All right. So we can go through the same exercise, and we can go and open the charts, and we can go look at our references. There doesn't seem to be any such reference for this airport I'm trying. This one doesn't have that. This has got noise abatement procedures. Maybe it will be in there. Arrivals, there we go. When operating IFR aircraft, carry out a visual approach, must not join final approach at an altitude less than 2,200. Okay, that's good enough. We won't join less than 2,200, all right, unless otherwise instructed by ATC. Aircraft using ILS shall not descend below 2,200 before intercepting the glide slope. Fine. Let's skip a little bit. Jet aircraft and propeller driven aircraft with more than 5,700 kilogram certified weight making visual approach to runway 27 shall intercept final approach at no less than 3 DME. Alright, that's still not what we're looking for. That's talking about quotas. I don't see anything specific to runways. It's more about the noise abatement, it seems, eh? Departures. They don't have something like we had at the other one, so we're gonna kill that. We're not interested in that then. All right. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at approaches, and we're going to select runway 9. All right. I'm going to select final, and then we can check the other one later. So if we zoom in, we see that we need to reach that point over there. All right. But we need to bridge the gap from there to there. All right. Now, again, we're speaking about the middle tier guys. We're not speaking about the guys flying online, getting assistance and the rules from ATC. We're not speaking about the gamers. We're talking about the flight simmers, the proper flight sim guys. We want to breach that gap. We're sitting in the luxury of our own home, and we can make the decisions. Right. So, how do we get from there? Let's click our little eye. All right. So, there's a couple of options for us. George, okay, sorry, I'm going to stop the stream quickly then just for George, just to show him. Don't want to leave him struggling behind. George, a lot of us here on stream and in Discord actually fly for virtual Ryanair. So we typically log into our control panel. We then get our route. So we're flying from Dublin to Bristol, and the VA, the virtual airline, presents us with the basic route. That is the thing that's highlighted over there. And then we basically just go and paste it via type route into our Navigraph, and then we start building around that. And you're welcome. Thank you for asking. All right, guys. So I know some of you know the answer already, but I want somebody else, somebody that was not here yesterday. Can one of you guys guess which would be the best arrival to use? Just a guess. I mean, it's not right or wrong, and nobody's going to laugh at you. Just make a guess. Which one would you guys choose? And there is a little bit of a trick to it, so don't feel bad. There is a bit of a trick to it.
I would use the BRE 1B.
Okay. All right, Joe. Good. Next, who else wants to take a bit?
I would use that as well.
All right. Okay. Right. So let's use that one. Hello, Ranke.
Mic off. Mic on.
Sorry, my son just said good morning. All right, so let's use the Pre-1P. Okay. Do you guys see there's a bit of an issue? Joe?
This lag is terrible. It makes it so difficult to follow.
If you look at the connection, your Bravo Romeo India star is actually going to the airport. It's not going to finals. You see that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So
It's going to the airport. Yeah.
yeah. Okay, so let's play around with it a little bit. Look when we transpose our chart on top of it. Look, there's like a little teardrop. Do you guys see there's a teardrop? Can you guys see the teardrop?
Can now.
All right. So there's something missing. There is something missing. What could that be? Let's have a look. See if we change our approach. Remember, we changed or we selected runway 09, but we selected it to go to final. Just killing that call quickly. All right. Now that we've got the actual system up to this point, you'll see the approaches has now changed. We actually have ILS 09 via the Bravo Romeo India transition. So we can select that. If we change the chart, look what it does. Now it will work. Tell me when you guys see it. Tell me when you guys see it.
Yeah, it is online
Okay.
here. And
Okay. So I'm going to zoom out. So we've got one option. Okay. The question now comes in my mind. Do we really want to fly it? Because it's going to mean we're going to have to overfly that VOR. We're going to have to make a nice turn there, come back, fly out, and then come back again. Excellent. Excellent, George. Okay, so the question is this. Do we really want to do this, guys?
Negative.
No, I don't want to do this.
I would, because I know more, I
Yeah.
don't want
Don't
to
say nothing.
interfere.
Please let the other guys have a
No.
go.
Yeah.
What I was going to say is there are always many options,
Yes.
but that was the route I did choose.
Okay.
And
All right.
if anybody wants to know, Nico, and they ask, I'll explain why.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
But I'll leave you to do your thing.
All right. Okay. Okay. From my side, what I would say is, if you have good enough experience, if you know what you're doing, you can fly it. I mean, it's not difficult. Okay. But we don't really need to do it. So what are we going to change? We need to change this arrival. All right. So if we go back and let's just cancel all this now. Sorry, guys. If we go back, let's see if we can show it that way. There we go. If we go back, the next one that does not go to the actual airport, that actually gives us more of a chance to reach the ILS. And remember, it's about there. That's where the ILS will start. Is going to be this one. Alpha Delta Victor Echo 1 Alpha. All right, so if we change this to that, and if we change this to that, right? Check, the only gap we have is just those little, that little line over there. Sorry, Jose.
No, I said I've got it.
Okay. All right. Okay. So let's look at the next possibilities. Let's just kill this one. Okay. How do we fill the gap? Yes, we can use vectors. We can vector ourselves. If you're flying online, the ATC can vector us. You know, there's a couple of options. Or if there's a discontinuity, we can just take it out, you know, just get rid of the problem and just join those two lines together. Or look at this. What I did was I clicked on the little eye next to approaches. Aha, what do you guys see now? Do you see we have a connection? RNAV runway 09 is actually connected to the star. And it takes us directly to where we want to be.
Affirmative. Affirmative.
Yep.
Okay, so let's go grab that one. There you go. Perfectly connected. There's a perfect route for you. Right, so now it's not a 15-year-old kid or a clueless old person. I don't know. I'm trying to make
Stop
a joke.
picking on me. Stop picking on me.
Yeah, exactly.
Are you talking about me?
Yes. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm trying to make a joke. I'm just trying to make light of it.
Oh,
I
and a Merry Christmas.
Yeah, listen, I'm just making a joke. Okay, so yeah, look, it's done. It's perfect in every way conceivable, conforming to aviation know-how and rules and everything else. It's perfect. There's nothing we can add to make it more perfect, really. All right, so what I just want to do is I just want to save my charts in my shortcut. Look at the old persons. I'm glad you guys have a sense of humor, man.
Everybody picks on me.
Uncle John, you know I love you. All right, okay, so I've got my original airport, the departure airport. I've got the SID, I've got the star, I've got the arrival, the arrival and the approach, and now I just need my actual airport. All right, so now I've got everything that I need. Okay, so let's take it now one step further, right? So if you do it from Simbrief and then bring it to Navigraph, you must probably going to have to redo some of this because Simbrief isn't always, and I'm not saying it's always wrong, it isn't always either or, okay? And you might find that it's not going to look the same. Check, Bob. Oh, sorry, Bob. Anyway, now you're making me feel bad. I just joked. Anyway, all right. So if we want to now take it one step further, what I would suggest is the following. Go and grab the whole route. I'm going to leave it on screen for you guys on Discord to come in and see it as well shortly. Highlight the actual route. Do not take the airport with a runway on either side. Just take the route itself and copy that. Put it into your memory, in the computer's memory. Okay, tell me when you guys on Discord have seen that.
Yep.
All right, so what we're going to do is just cancel that out so we don't lose it. Frost Knight. Hello, Frost Knight. Okay, so we've now copied that. We're now going to Simbrief. Alright, so we're going to start from the beginning. Ryanair, what's that flight number? Copy, paste, our departure, EDIW, EGGD. Okay, just refresh, please. EGGD, we're going to take the Zibo. Alright. Going to use, because it's Ryanair, we're going to use a CI of 6. What is the time now? 11. So it's 9. $45. All right, so now coming back, looking at our, and I need to copy this again because I made a mistake by copying something else in the interim. So if we look at our actual plan
Your
now.
input airport is wrong. It should be EIDW, not ED.
Okay, thank you. EIDW. It helps when I have a co-pilot like you. All right. Okay, got it. It's fixed. So if we come back, guys, I've got multiple screens. Thanks, Martin. You also saw that I missed it. I was typing too fast. Right, so if we look at my setup here, I've got multiple screens. So I obviously just bring it back in line so you guys can see it. But we know we're going to use a runway 10 on the one side, and we know we're going to use runway 9 on the other side. So we need to set that. So it's 10 and 9. Okay, it actually picked that up automatically. We verified it now. It's perfectly okay. We're not worried about any of these things. Oh, I can show you this as well. Ryanair actually tells us their preferred altitude is 27,000 feet. Arrival is EGGD. It's correct. The alternate is EGCC. Just check that, George. EGGD. That's Bristol. I'm glad you guys are awake. All right, so we're going to use 270. Ryanair also tells us the amount of passengers, 164, which is the maximum the Zibo can take. So that's perfect for us. 164. Yeah, I know. Bit cocky, you know, bit cocky. We leave the house too early and think we can take over the world like Pinky and the Brain, you know. All right, do we have any cargo? I'm not going to load 4,048 kilograms in there. That's a bit much. What I will do is let's just put 1 ton. Why not? No, you're welcome, George. You're welcome. It's fun having fun on stream. The last thing I want is a boring stream. You know, we don't want that. So let's just check. EIDWEGGD, that is perfect. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to paste our route in there. This is what we got from Navigraph. So we can go to type route and just make 100% sure. That should be that one. Copy. I think it's perfect. There we go. Perfect. And we can then analyze the route. All right, so that includes the SID, it includes the star, perfect, it's all okay. And there you can actually see it drawn out for us as well. All right, there's Manchester's our alternate. Guys, are you happy so far? Does it make sense? Does it give you something to chew on?
Just confirm why you're highlighting only part of it for those that are not aware of why you're doing it.
Okay, the only reason is because you already tell Simbrief here at the top what your airports are. If you go and add your airports in there, it doesn't like it. So this is just the route. It's always just the route that goes in there.
Yeah, I'm happy so far.
Good. All right, then we can just say generate the OFP. Great stuff.
I don't know why you're in that page. You know, like your alternative
Mm.
at the moment is Manchester,
Yes, sir.
but you alternate fuel you'll be carrying will be greater. But do you want to show in Simbrief how you could change your alternate airport to, say, Birmingham or Southampton?
Or even Cardiff.
Yeah, we can. It's easy
It's
enough.
just, because it's simply within
Yeah,
Simbrief you're doing.
sure, sure. What is Southampton? What is it? What's it the IKO for Southampton? I can't recall that. I don't know what it is. Anybody? Can you Google for me quickly?
Looking.
Okay. Thank you, George. Thank you, Christopher. And George, the alternative is a system chosen thing. This is why McTrying is now asking me to show you how to change it, because we can change it to Southampton, which is much closer and preferred.
EGHI.
EGHI.
So which is which?
Echo
EGHI.
Golf Hotel
India.
India.
All right, so we're going to change it there. All right, and then generate. Okay, the plan. Just a quick note also, guys, if you look at the ICAO rules for us flying on this side of the pond, it's slightly different to the American FAA rules. But basically, what happens is we need to have 30-minute reserve fuels. That's our ICAO rule. And then I add 5% or 15 minutes extra as well. So just bear that in mind, just as a matter of interest. Thank you, guys. Thanks for EGH. I got it. Kevin, Kevin, you can dispatch directly from Ryanair into Simbrief. Okay. The reason I don't like doing it is because I'm a control freak, first of all. All right, I like to be in control of everything. I don't like surprises. My whole life I've been that way. If you surprise me, especially if it's a bad surprise, I get really angry. I don't like that. And that's just a personality trait on my side. So I'm a control freak. Secondly, by default, they're not going to give you the OFP layout of Lido. They're going to give you the Ryanair layout, and I don't like the Ryanair OFP layout at all. It's not for me. It doesn't give me all the information I want in the places where I want them. So to avoid things like that and having to fiddle with settings again and stuff like that, that's the one reason I don't do the actual dispatch directly from Ryanair. But I mean, there's nothing wrong with it, and you are most welcome to use it if it works for you. The other reason is the very reason for this whole video, this whole stream, is we want to do a visual flight plan. Okay, we want to avoid the Simbrief errors where Simbrief appoints the incorrect runways, SIDS, and stars. We want to be in control of what is given. And this is hence the reason for calling it a visual flight planning video. So we did the visual flight planning. We're happy with what we see, and now we are going to get what we see by now bringing it the other way around from Navigraph into Simbrief and then taking it back to the Sim. So two good reasons, I think. So let's generate that OFP then. All right, so there you can immediately see we've got a much shorter route to go to the actual alternate, which is now Southampton. Thank you guys for that. And we can start looking through all of these little things. If you guys are still using the individual downloads, again, there's nothing wrong with it, but please consider getting the Simbrief downloader. And if you have the Simbrief downloader, you can pre-configure all your add-ons in one go. You press one button and it does the whole export import thing for you one time. Let me actually see if I've got mine still handy and if it will work for us this morning. All right, yeah, there's the Simbrief downloader. So these are my add-ons that I have linked to the Simbrief downloader, which I obviously use, and then I just export all my formats from here. All right, my Q400 is complaining. I don't know why, I don't care. All right, and then we can close it. So that takes care of the whole exporting. At this point in time, the company route is now already available in our explain in our Zibo mod for us. Let me quickly read your messages. Thank you, Kevin. Appreciate that. Yeah, I think it teaches you a couple of things doing it this way compared to relying on automation. One of the things I spoke to Uncle John about last night when we discussed this was what happens when automation fails you. We had an incident a while ago where me and another one of the Zibo guys flew into Madrid, and the Simbrief plan told us to use the runway that's never ever used for landing. And the other guy got upset when he was told by the ATC you can't use that runway, and he kept on saying to him, but Simbrief told me to use the runway. And we went back and we read through the information that I was reading to you earlier, and we saw, oh, but hell, those two runways are never used for landing because you have to fly over the terminal to land on them, and that's not allowed. You understand? And Simbrief, that's typically something that Simbrief doesn't know. Simbrief doesn't know that runway 35 at Lisbon is currently closed. You can't land on it except for emergencies. It's being used as an aircraft storage facility. You understand? Little things like that isn't always known to Simbrief. So again, it doesn't make Simbrief bad, but if you have other tools and utilities at your disposal, it just makes life easier to know these things before you get in the dwang later on in the stage, because the OFP didn't warn you. All right.
I
Okay.
guess that just makes
Yeah.
sense that whatever the ATC says, you need to follow.
Yes. Exactly. Chris, you see, I haven't used it that way. I must actually go and revisit it. I've looked at it, obviously, so that I know what it's about, but I don't know it in that intricate detail, Chris. I really will have to go back and look at it. The one other thing that Simbrief also is very incapable of doing is actually simulating the proper Zibo profile. Simbrief makes use of a generic 737-800 profile, which in a lot of cases also creates a little bit of a problem. I've got a edited version, but even with me editing it, it doesn't edit enough of the profile to actually make it 100% legit. It's good enough. It really is. There's no point in stopping and saying, oh, I can't use it with a Zibo because it's not accurate. It's more accurate than some other things I've seen. So don't let that be a stumbling block in your lives. But it's not like me and Twixter made PFPX. I mean, we spent a lot of time in PFPX matching the numbers. And this is why I prefer using PFPX. But for the rest of the world who uses Simbrief, man, it's good enough. It's okay. George, yeah, garbage in, garbage out. It's the old computer story. Okay, let's quickly have a look. Let's see, where do we go to from here? All right, we are not going to fly online, so we're not going to pre-file Yeah, Christer, it's important. The only thing that's not really 100% correct according to what I put in that Zibo manual is the actual equipment codes, because they changed. I'll have to update that still, but the weights are true. The weights are really true. All right, so what I'm going to do quickly is I'm going to try and find this OFP and take it to another next level. Where is my downloads? You see, Kevin, that is also another thing I've noticed. You know, and there's nothing you can do about it until you figure it out, you know. Okay, so here we have the OFP. This is how we got it from Simbrief right now. I'm going to quickly highlight a couple of things here, the important things. Let's quickly comment. Let's quickly look at some of these things. Let's take yellow, good color. All right, so what is important? The first thing that is important is obviously the flight number, the date, and to and from, or from and to, whatever. Okay, that's important. What is also important is the cost index. That's very important. All right, now depending on, don't worry, I'm not even going to mention that because it's not here. It's irrelevant. Scratch that. Okay, that's our average wind. All right. Then we have the average ISA, which is also usable in the FMC later. And then we've got our trip fuel and time. Then we have, I don't see an actual sum of it. Block fuel is very important. So if you want, this is just a rule of thumb. Okay. I've got the actual calculation in my PFPX, but if you add those two values, the 1495 plus the 1050, that's a good enough reference for your for your reserve fuels in your FMC that we can work with. And then what we are looking for, minimum fuel at takeoff. Do you see that value over there, that 207? That is the amount of time in minutes, or an hour in minutes, sorry. 2 hours and 7 minutes that you will be able to fly the aircraft with the block fuel given. All right, so that's also important to know. Then let's quickly see what else is very important. This routing is very important, because this is the document that you typically going. Where's my marker now? Commenting. Sorry, didn't realize it didn't mark until I saw that. So let's mark it. Right. Okay, so let me rephrase. Start again. This is the document the pilot and co-pilot takes into the aircraft with them. All right. Nowadays, with the EFBs, they've got extra features, but for the longest of time, this is the line that they used in conjunction with the ATC flight plan line, which I'll show you later on, to enter the information into the FMC to make sure that they get their flight with the flight number mentioned at the top from where they are to where they need to be. This is the line. It tells you EIDW, runway 10, it tells you the SID, it tells you the exact routing, it tells you the star, it tells you your EGGD arrival airport as well as the runway. So that's kind of important, really important to know those kind of informations. Right, then we're going to scroll down a little bit more. Right, for those guys flying online, here's your block time. That's your total time that you can put in into your flight plan if you want to. Your in and out is obviously dependent on what you put into Simbrief, so that's not important. Right, the next thing that you're going to find very important is the weights. You need to know the payload and the fuel weights. This is what goes into the Zibo tablet itself specifically. And then what you need to do is you need to verify, once you've inputted those first two numbers, that your takeoff weight is reasonably close to 64.6. All right, once those three values are okay on your tablet, then you know your Zibo will perform as per this OFP, this operational flight plan, and you can then take it further than that. What else is important? Let's look at flight levels and things. I'm not really so much worried about all of these things. There's top of climb. All right, so if you are hell bent on using top of climb winds instead of your average wind, there's a top of climb wind 316 at 15 that you can use. I personally prefer to use the average winds. Also, just something I do. Right, and then for the descent, these are the other winds that you can use to put into your FMC when you do your descent planning. So at flight level 200, flight level 150, and 10,000 feet, you can just input those values into your FMC once you start your descent. Right, then in this version, this is your ATC flight plan. And I'm going to just highlight that as the last thing that I'm going to highlight. Christer, the reason is most of everything today is done on RNAV. It's basically GPS stuff. The amount of VOR work that you do in a Boeing isn't that much. Hey? It's all done off your FMC, so it's kind of irrelevant to a certain degree, you know. All right, so let me quickly just read this for you because this is surprising to me. I did not realize that there are so many guys that don't know how to read the first couple of items here. The N0402 is the knots. So if you're flying on VATSA, MyVeo, or any of these networks, this is the speed the guys are asking you for. This is what you file for in your flight plan. It says you're going to fly at 402 knots. This is the expected speed. Obviously, it's not going to be 100% correct because it depends on your atmospheric conditions and a whole bunch of other stuff, right? But this line basically tells the ATC you are expected to fly at 402 knots and your F, your flight level that you file for is 270. And I was surprised. Even in the week, I still found guys, they didn't realize what that meant. So I hope there is some of you that actually have learned that today as well.
I have.
Excellent. Excellent, Jose. And then there's your route again. This obviously also includes your SID and your star. It excludes your runway information and stuff because this is what the ATC sees. Sees on his strip what he's going to discuss with you, and from there he's going to either use the same or change them or whatever. But this is the basic flight plan that the ATC gets on his strip from your dispatcher or from you when you dispatch it on some IVAO, whatever. So I think that's about the last very important thing. So for the longest of time, when I did training with the guys, I've always highlighted everything like this, and it's maybe a good idea if you guys do the same. I mean, you can save this. You know, use it later again. I'm just going to pull it out of the picture. We're done with that. We're done with Simbrief. You know, that takes care of that one for now. Right, just saving that one out. Alright, it's going to take a few seconds to save out. All right, so that was the one. Let's quickly, oh, yeah, we need to go back here.
Nico, there was a very interesting point on the flight plan regards to the minimums, if you want to highlight that.
Christian, show me, because I didn't pay attention to that. Where do you go to the Mora?
Sorry, I'm about 5 seconds or 10 seconds delay because I'm watching a stream as well. So
Yeah.
if you look at the flight plan, you got some sort of minimums. The MORA.
Yeah,
one note,
Mora. Yes.
Yeah, that's very, very critical. So that I guess that's based on the briefing as well when you discuss with the first officer.
Yeah. You're going to discuss it there, but again, in terms of if you program your Zibo correctly, where's that thing? If you input the correct plan, all right, you shouldn't be in harm's way. It's good to know those things and it's good to brief it exactly as you said. Nothing wrong with that. But if you actually follow this plan correctly, I'm trying to look for it. I know I saw it. It briefly came into my view somewhere. I just want to look for it again. There we go. There it is. Yeah. Okay. So.
Sorry,
yeah.
And also the weather as well. If you want to brief that as well, because depending on it does show, does depict the weather.
Yeah,
that's also important to discuss.
Okay, all right, yeah, we can look at that. Let's actually go highlight that weather then as well. That's actually, the weather is actually more important to me than the MORAs are, because if you program your aircraft correctly, you won't even know about those MORAs. It's just something to keep in the back of your mind. All right, so let's grab our highlighters. So our departure is Dublin.
Stupid question, this.
What?
How do you highlight?
Oh.
In a different color.
Okay, what you do is you open it in your Adobe Reader, and then on the side you've got comments. There on the right hand side you've got comments. You click on comments, it brings up the bar at the top, and then you just take your highlighter, you select your highlighter, and then there is a little button that you press for different colors.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So let's take another color. Alright, so that is your weather. Okay, Christian, the reason why this is also actually very important, and it's going to become rather important for the Zibo users now in the next couple of months, being winter in the northern hemisphere and having severe weather, there is the guys are going to have to start simulating the cold weather procedures. So Christian is 100% correct. You guys need to take cognizance of the weather. You need to understand when to use your anti-ice, when not to use the anti-ice. So it's very important that you brief yourself on the weather. It's all very well we know which runway to take off from, because we look at the actual wind, 110 at 10 knots. That's fair enough, but we need to now see, do we have any visible moisture, any precipitation, any snow? Then we need to check what is our temperature. We've got currently 6 degrees Celsius. So in a 6 degrees Celsius environment with zero moisture, zero precipitation, it's not the end of the world. But if there was any visible precipitation, fog, clouds, rain, snow, anything that condensates moisture could potentially cause icing conditions. And this is something very important that you guys need to look out for. And this is obviously also part of your briefing, and it's part of the OFP. It comes with. Now, I know that when we fly online, we always check the weather, and it's one of these silly things that I do naturally already. I don't even think about it. I check the weather. I make sure temperatures are right. But when we're talking about training, I suppose it's worthwhile mentioning, to the trainees, just to please be careful what you do, because the Zibo actually simulates. We've already had one of my friends crash out in the Zibo because he didn't do the proper procedures in cold weather. You know, it was snowing and he crashed. So it happens. Okay, and that's what's this, page 9. So there you have it. On our receiving side, we've got winds at 115 knots. Okay, so that also something that you need to look out for, because it's not a direct, front on wind like we saw earlier. That's changed kind of a bit. All right, there it says it's overcast. All right, so there's a bit of clouds and it's 3 degrees. Now there's no precipitation yet, and I don't see anything. Oh, there we go. There's fog and a whole bunch of other nonsense. So we need to look out for that, but that's way later. That's not going to be in our flight time. All right. So is that okay, Christian?
Yes. Just double checking. Hopefully everyone understands what excuse me, what MORA means. It's basically the minimum off route altitude. What that means, from my understanding, correct me.
Yeah.
It basically indicates the minimum safe altitude for the portion of that route, basically.
Yeah.
So whatever you're expressing that route, it's extremely important on approach. So that's very, very important to monitor.
Yeah.
You don't want to bust that because you may enter high terrain.
Exactly.
That can be a bad day.
Yeah. No, for sure. Especially when you can't see very much in front of you. All right. Okay.
Just quickly, I wanted to say something. I can't remember. That's right. We'll come back. It was just very, very important. Turbulence or anything like that? Do we have to look into turbulence at this stage?
No, not really. Not
forecast,
really.
Alternate forecast.
No, not really. I'm not worried about that.
No TAMs.
No, because again, it's a flight simulator. All those things are nice to have, but it's taking it to the next level. It's kind of outside of the scope of what we're trying to achieve here. We today would like to get the guys to do flight planning and be comfortable with flight planning. So the other things are nice to have, but we can worry about that in more advanced training later with the guys. Okay, so let's put to practice what we know. The next route that we are after comes now from flight aware. All right. So we are going to do the flight planning from KBWI to KPVD, which is Providence, Baltimore to Providence. We already did the initial search for the plan, and we saw this was the plan. So we're going to copy that. And then we're going to go to our Navigraph. So guys, I'm just implementing what we've learned already. We've already exported this route. We can go fly it later on if you guys... I'm going to do it, but I don't know how much time you guys have got left. You're obviously welcome to stay the whole day with us. But let's quickly do another one. Let's implement what we have learned. So we're going to start a new flight. We're going to go to...
Sorry, Nico, to butt in. Could I ask a very quick question with regards to weather?
Yeah.
This is very quickly. It's based on the Simbrief. At the very end, you got the Simbrief depicting the weather rings and all that, Kimbolus, Nimbulus, and all that. So that's very, very important to know about. Are we going to be covering this?
Not today. Not today,
like
because
high level, low level pressure systems.
No, not today. It's irrelevant for today's training, Christian. What we want to know is what runway is active, what SID, what star, what runway is active on the receiving end. So it's just about doing the flight planning and getting it going. If the actual METAR had mega CBs and thunderstorms and crap, we could have taken it further. But I just want the guys to feel comfortable with creating their flights. Just entry level. We'll do the rest later.
We can probably look at that another session for the advanced weather planning.
Exactly.
So it's very important as well to fly.
Yeah. Right, and then KPVD is our destination, and then we're just going to say create. All right, so let me just disable that thing because it's going to drag us back every time. All right, so guys, again, we are sitting with exactly the same scenario as earlier, and I'm using the US now as a completely different base just to show you that the principles are the same. Just because we're in a different location means nothing. The principles are the same. We've got our basic route. We now need to go to type route, and we need to substitute the direct to with the route we got from flight aware, and just make sure you remove all the excess spaces, and then click save. George, no, I did not. Let me bring it up on screen for you. I actually enabled everything. I just didn't show you everything. There's all the maps. Everything is there. Even the stuff Christian was talking about, plus a little bit more. So everything is there. Just please bear in mind, I don't use Simbrief on a daily basis. I use PFPX, which got its own version. But this is also, it's up to you. The real world NOTAMs and all are great to know as a, you know, how can we put it? It's like reading a newspaper. You either do it or you don't. It's good to know, but it means nothing in the simulator. And if we're talking simulator related stuff, look at all this pages upon pages upon pages of NOTAMs. I'll go
Yeah.
crazy.
You can have construction work or taxiway closed for
Yeah.
renovations or something like that. That this is what the real world will forecast.
Yes, but if you're flying with ATC and they want to replicate it, they'll tell you. If you're sitting in your own luxury of your own home with you, yourself, and I, you're not going to care for that. It's a simulator, you see. So again, we're talking to three different levels of guys, and the gamers are obviously not going to care. They're not even going to worry about it. So
I think it's important that people understand what it means, and it's up to them if they want to, simulate
read
that.
it. Yeah,
That's very important.
yeah. No, you can go read the NOTAMs. My goodness, it's pages upon pages upon pages of stuff. So, but that's all on you. You go do that. Yeah, no. If I were to use it, I stop it as well. It's no use using it. Okay, back to the training. I've obviously now copied the flight plan, the real world flight plan from Flight Aware. We've inserted that and we've clicked OK, and this is now what we end up with. We are now going to have to go through the same procedure and determine which runway is active. So let's stop this one and go to KBWI. All right, so that's almost a crosswind. Runway 04 is currently just still a possibility. Let's have a look, see what other runways are there. All right, so we've got a 33 left and a 33 right. That seems more like it. So let's go and we don't have to. I mean, it's much of a muchness, but just to keep in line, not to confuse anybody. We've got a 33 left and a 33 right that we can work with. The question is now, can we use them? All right, so how do we determine that? We're going to open that airport. 33 left is over there and 33 right is over there. Okay, so just by looking at the actual chart, you can see 33 right is for small aircraft. That's not for Boeings. So that leaves us with 33 left as our possibility. So we are then going to say, let's use 33 left. All right, there you go. Now, look at that. We didn't even have to choose the actual standard instrument departure because Flight Aware already chose it for us there. Swan 3, it's already given to us exactly as the guys fly it in real world. That's cheating, but it works. It works. All right, so let's save that one as well. And let's go to the other end then. All right, so we have Jordan 2. We can actually pin that one as well and close it off. Now, we need to fill the gap between that line and the actual airport. So let's go have a look at the airport. Let's get something of the airport in our mind, some impression there. All right, so runway 34 and 16 is a very short runway. That's almost at the very limits of what the Boeing can handle. So I would recommend rather using 23 or 05. I wouldn't use that one unless I'm forced to. I mean, it's quite clear the other one is much better. All right, so let's go back to virtual AWOS. Let's look at KPVD. And the options are 5 and 23. So we want, that will be if number 5 is active. And look at that. That's an absolute crosswind almost. All right. That's very interesting. So that's almost a crosswind. Okay, so let's talk about the 3 categories of flight simmers. You've got the entry-level guys that don't care. You've got the flight simmers who really would like to simulate more reasonably. And then you've got the online pilots. All right, the online pilots will obviously get guidance from whatever the ATC says. And let's see if we get any, there's no reference here. Let's see if we get any information about takeoffs and landings and the runways. There's nothing here. Just a whole bunch of information. Okay. So, guys, it's much of a muchness. It doesn't matter whether you take 05 or 23. George, look under the video, under the stream. If you look at show more, click on show more. The link is mentioned there. Okay, so let's take it one step further. Let's go have a look see. Let's see if we can actually, I'm not sure if you can actually see this. Yeah, you can. Also, but you can't really zoom in. It's not 100% clear, but I would say just looking at this, it looks like he used runway 05. That would be my guess. Like I said, it's much of a muchness. I'm not sure if it will show us if we click on the other link. Let's see. No, that's Sky Vector. We don't want Sky Vector.
Nico, the maximum crosswind component is 40 knots for 738, is that right?
Yes. Constant wind, yes.
Yeah.
So that 10 knots is much of a muchness. It's just one of those things. In X-Plane, you're going to know about it, you know, but anyway, okay, I'm going to take 5. Okay, let's just guess. Let's use our method that I taught you earlier. Let us click on our eye. Ah, look at that. There is one that is almost connecting. We're going to have to remove one of the waypoints. That's very clear. So we're going to have to edit the legs list in our FMC. But look at that. That green one, RNAV runway 05, is actually linked. The alternate would be to use the ILS. And we can select ILS to final. So let's start with the basic one. Let's start. Go to ILS for 05 and we use final. All right, which means that you're going to have to vector yourself from the final point there onto that point. We go to that one. No, that's turning out of the way. That's not what we want. All right, okay. This one also takes you to the VOR, and then you have to do this fancy comeback, turn around, and go back. We don't want to do that. So final seems to be the better one for the ILS there. Okay. Let's take RNAV. What is this point called? Let's just click on that one. Show the point labels KPVD. Okay.
The beauty about what Nico's doing right now is using his airways to intercept everything that is required upon the chart, which is excellent.
Mm.
I've had experience where people were calling, they want vRYR to vRYR, and that's just, even though they're instrument rated, that's just wrong. You can't fly vRYR to vRYR because that terminology is wrong. You have to use the airways and connect to the vRYR. So that's something to keep in mind.
Yeah, yeah. I'm listening to you and now I'm messing up.
Sorry.
No, that's fine, that's fine. I must just concentrate on what I'm doing. RNAV runway 05. Was it Mink? Close that. Yeah, Mink. Why is it still saying La Fay? No, we don't want La Fay. We want Mink. There. Alright, so the better one for the job would be that. But guys, you need to now be very, very aware of this. If you do not edit your leg list, you're going to have a situation where the aircraft's going to keep on flying. It's going to reach that end there, and then it's going to turn around to come back over here. And I've seen that happen a couple of times in the support area of Zibo, where the guy said, but my aircraft just all of a sudden turns around and flies in a different direction, and it's because they forgot to remove a little leg like that. So we're going to have to be very careful when we program that leg, that we actually take the point from there where it's intersecting. But I think that's it. That is our flight plan. Now, again, in the real world, that guy obviously got to that point and then he had ATC to guide him in. If you are flying online, you're going to have the same. If you are flying in your own luxury of your own home, me, myself, and I, you're going to have to be aware of that little problem. But how's that? Does it make sense? Does it give you something already just by listening and looking?
It does.
Okay. I'm glad, Jose. Sorry, McTrying, I didn't see you fell out of the room there. All
No
right.
problem.
Okay. Now, obviously, we can do the same thing. We can go to type a route. We're going to skip the actual airport name and the runway number. We're going to copy that section over there. And we're going to go to Navigraph. Sorry,
And
Simbrief.
Nico, I think what's also very important is the altitude and the direction of travel, because that's critical as well, because you want to be flying at the right level based on the direction you're traveling to.
That's true, but Simbrief gives that to you.
Yeah,
I'll show you just
I've
now.
noticed that I've been caught out and was given the wrong by the odd and even, so it was,
Okay.
yeah, I got caught out. That's something we need to, well, as a pilot, we need to be aware of, make sure we're flying the correct altitude, cruising level.
Okay, well, you see, that brings up a whole nother subject, because it also depends on if you are European or if you are American. If you are American and if you are South African and Australian, it's very easy. East is odds. Plus 500 for VFR. If you're flying west, it's evens. But if you're flying in Portugal, for instance, it works north-south, not east-west. You know, and there's a couple of countries in the EU where it's just crazy. It works north-south. And so we'll leave that also. We'll leave that for a next discussion. What we will assume currently, just for our purposes for today, is that the cruise level here given by Simbrief is actually correct. The ATC, again, look, if you're flying in your own house, nobody's going to tell you it's wrong. If you're flying with ATC, he's obviously going to tell you it's wrong, and then you just have to fix it. But we'll get to that in advanced training later on. So let's take SWA. I'm just taking a number, KBWI. We're going to go to KPVD. Okay, yes, sorry, man. All right, I'm in fact going to say none. I don't even want an alternate. There's no point. All right, then we're going to select the Zibo. For Southwest, we can actually push our CI up to 40. All right, Nice and easy.
Nico, doesn't it by default give us the continuous fuel 5% or 15 by default? Do you know?
No. I have to set it up there. You have to go and set it up. Yeah. You can have it on auto, and then it determines what it wants. But those are the two options. You either set it up or leave it at auto. Okay, then what are we looking for? All right, now we know that runway 33 left is correct. We tested that. It's fine. Simbrief has given us 05. So lo and behold, today it's actually playing ball with us. I'm impressed. Thank you very much. So that is correct. We've got our flight altitude. We can leave it at auto. All right. Or we can go back and we can actually see the last flight was at 290. The one before that was 250. So it's up to us. We can say 290 or leave it at auto. Let's leave it at auto. Let's see what Simbrief does for us. Okay. If it's wrong, we come back and we change it. All right. Over
Can I
here.
just cut in here? While
Sorry.
you've got that page open,
Yeah.
where you've got selections on the top right hand side, no, on the Simbrief page.
Yeah, I'm there. I'm waiting for you to come.
When you set it up, ensure people save the option at the top.
Oh, yes. Yeah, you have to click save default. You have to save it. Otherwise, you're going to have to redo it every time. Thanks, McTrying.
And just quickly, guys, if you plan to do any online events, highly recommend you take some extra fuel, at least 32 minutes. That's why 1.5. Yeah. I think it looks
at least. Yeah, because I mean, if anything goes wrong, somebody holds you up. You don't want to fall out of the sky.
That's why I was on about either amending your continuous fuel or your reserve so that you do it every time.
Yeah, that it's included. All right, so I've just pasted my flight plan that I got from this page, from FlightAware, into Simbrief. I've clicked analyze the route. He's happy, I'm happy, and we're going to leave altitude, auto passengers, auto cargo. We're not carrying anything. It's southwest, so we're going to say create.
Are you leaving cargo to 0? Does that mean there's no cargo, or is it auto cargo? Because you've got 0 now.
No, the cargo there, that is the mail and the packages. That doesn't include your baggage. Okay, that cargo there is additional. What Simbrief does is it allocates, I think, 15 kilograms baggage to each passenger anyway. So that's already
but there's
included.
Cargo 0.0.
I know.
What's that mean?
Well, it just means that we are not the Postal Service's carrier today. We're not taking DHL packages. That cargo is anything above and beyond the baggage. You obviously have a person with 15 kilogram baggage. That's accounted for. The baggage is in. The cargo, this is extra. This is the cotton wool and the cigarettes and the containers that goes with to be sold on the other side.
Tin cans of food and all that.
That's it. That's the cargo there.
If you want to understand, Christian, if you go into the aircraft and edit, you'll see, for example, Simbrief allows £230 per passenger, which includes the baggage, because normally it's £170 plus.
Yeah, it's all there. I also had to read up when I did the whole Zibo config thing, so I know it's all included. That cargo is literally extra.
And I think, Nico, you've posted an update on the 738 Zibo profile. Is that correct?
Yeah. In the latest install guide, there is an update. Yes.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you.
Okay, no worries. All right. So this is our flight map, and it looks excellent to me. We've obviously got all our information there, and we can now do the same thing. We can go find our little downloader.
Now from here you can click little buttons to show, like weather-related information such as
Yes, yeah.
turbulence and all showers and rain and all that.
Yeah, you can. So I've just exported that. That's at the bottom here. It was here. Let's click on show. There you go. There's the meters and everything that's given to us. This probably comes from NOAA. So that's updated with it. So you guys can see over there. But this is also going to be included in the OFP. So if you go and you download this thing, which I actually have already done. Let me actually open it locally. There we can go to comment again and go and grab our highlighter. Let's choose another color. Let's go for green. Why not? All right, so you can just obviously, oh, come on. Start highlighting the important stuff, you know. Man. Just go through the story again like we had earlier. There's your fuel. You can work out your alternates and reps and finres and stuff. Everything is there. So literally by doing it this way, we've literally covered the idea, where is that thing, of creating your flight plans visually. So instead of starting with Simbrief and ending here, because the funny thing is this one can actually import your Simbrief information. I just wanted to show you the alternate, doing it from the other side. We can do it this way too. For me, this just makes sense when I teach somebody to visualize the thing, to see what it looks like. Because in the event of us going to Simbrief, let's just edit this flight. You obviously have a option. Look, there's plenty of options of routes. Now, any one of these routes can be valid, most probably are, but if I compare it to what is actually used in the real world, our one is the only one that's true. Oh, there's another one. It's very similar, but also no cigar. All right, so that is the real world one. These ones were made by whoever wanted to fly that route, so they just went and made it themselves, which probably isn't right or wrong. There's no right or wrong, I suppose, but I would just feel more comfortable using a proper route.
You gotta be careful also that you don't select a route that is for props.
Yeah, well, this is what I've been saying. Yeah.
Yeah. And Nico, I wanted to say, with the routes, it's obviously it's making sure it's valid, but you want to also double check that it's valid in SkyVector as well, because SkyVector is extremely really accurate too.
Christian, that to me is an overkill personally, because I've already got Navigraph that's already on the updated APDAK, all right, and I've already got Simbrief that's updated to the APDAK. If I go to that level,
like high airways, low airways, and stuff like that. That's important as well.
Sure, but then all I do is I go to the high-end airways over here. There you go. This tool, this Navigraph, is not going to allow you to make a route if it's not valid anyway. So I'm quite happy, using it this way. If somebody queries it, I'll go query some SkyVector, but I'm not going to go to that extent. I mean, we are not that advanced. We're not going to use it in the real world. We're sitting at home just enjoying ourselves, so I'm happy just stopping here, me personally.
You might want to even look at the Simbrief page again, because if you look at the map, you can select, you have the options to select actually on the chart. Your airway.
What I'm trying to say is, if you're flying a Dash 8, for example, you can't be flying that route because obviously it'll be a wrong airways, wrong altitude, you know.
Sure.
So that's what I'm trying to make people aware. Like that route, what we're discussing is definitely for a jet or a heavy aircraft or jet like a 73 or 74 777. But if you want to wish to fly a I don't know,
ATR 72.
Dash 8.
Yeah.
Dash 8. But first of all, that will not be appropriate this route. So it's you need to be aware of the airways, and that's where I'm coming from. You need to make sure.
I understand.
Yeah.
But also understand most of us here are talking about Zibo, and we have talked about the. Yeah, we are talking about the Zibo mainly, and I have mentioned the prop being an issue with Simbrief. So what I like about what you're saying is you're basically just confirming what I've been saying all along. You know, you're going to have to check these things depending on the aircraft that you fly. If you are involved, if you have a love for an Dash 8 or an ATR, you're obviously going to investigate, how do I fly this? Where do I fly this? You're going to have a different mindset than what us jet jockeys have, you know. And so I'm quite comfortable leaving it at that. The next guy who watches this video, if he wants to, you know, use his Dash 8 or ATR 72, he's obviously going to have to think for himself, you know, and just apply what you've just said and what I've been saying all along just for that. But for this stream, I've got it in my mind that we're talking Zibo. We're not talking anything else. And you can use this for 737 basically. Okay.
Yeah, no, that's good. I think that's important to highlight that.
Yeah, 100%. All right. So, guys, are you happy? Do you want to see one more, or are you happy?
I think you've covered it.
Yeah. Uncle John, how do you feel? Tell me, are you happy?
100%. Me, I'm 100% waiting now to get on with it. Let's put it into action.
All right. Okay.
I was only going to mention, when you finish doing your planning, that you might want to highlight in Simbrief how you amend or include a Zibo in your fleet, i.e. with the weights amended, etc.
Okay, let's quickly have a look at that.
Well, that completes to me Zibo in Simbrief.
Okay.
That was.
All right. Okay, let's do that. George.
Yeah. And I do have another question when you finish answering that question. Sorry, it's with regards to the weights as well.
All right. Okay. So in Simbrief, if you go to My Fleet, you can create a new airframe, or you can obviously edit the airframe. Let's just find the Zibo, then we can edit the data. So let me just answer George first. George Camp, no. The aircraft editor in Simbrief is not going to change the route. It's got nothing to do with the two with each other. This is to assist the Simbrief SQL server behind the scenes to do the calculations. That's all it is. So it's going to work out your profiles and things for you, and it's going to work out your supposed fuel consumption and things like that. It's not going to change the route. It's not going to automatically recognize you flying a jet and then not give you a prop air route or vice versa. So this is unfortunately just for calculations, not for routing. All right,
so want to make an amendment there for your max passengers.
Max passengers is 164. Why do you want to change that?
Because all 737-800s are Ryanair.
No.
If you wanted to do a Ryanair one.
No, you're misleading. No. Stop there. The Zibo can only carry 164. Just because in your dream world Ryanair takes 174 or 189, what you're going to do is you're going to screw up the calculations, because you're now allowing more weight into an airframe that can't handle that. You can't do that. Not here. This is cast in stone. It's been cast and made
I'll
to be.
I'll talk about it off stream, but you'll understand. I won't say any more now.
Okay.
But,
McDrying, if you build a 2-story house and you've got 3 bedrooms, you can only put maximum 2 people in each bedroom. The moment you go more than that, you become a squatter camp. You can't do that. We'll talk about it afterwards. But with this,
yeah, because the aircraft only sees a weight. It doesn't see number of passengers.
correct, McDrying, and that's the whole point. Because now you are, this aircraft is expecting 164 times 105 kilograms. That's what it's expecting. And all of a sudden, you're telling it that it has to now carry 150 more, or whatever the value might be.
No.
It's not going to be right.
I can prove to you, but I'll do it offline. I don't want to confuse it now.
Let's talk about that off stream.
That's what I'm saying.
All right, well, there's not much to say. You guys can just copy the data and then just obviously save the aircraft.
Nico, can I ask my question?
Mm.
I think just touching base on what we've discussed, it's extremely important that we're looking at our flight plan, that we understand what is our maximum takeoff weight. Also, what is our maximum landing weight?
Well,
The
that
reason
is what I've just shown there. Yeah, go.
I'm just saying, if, let's say, 99% we're not going to be doing this, but let's say, heaven forbid, there'll be an engine failure, for example. We need to be turning around, and we'll be probably most likely, depending where we're going, probably too heavy to come back to the airport, which means we'll probably need to be doing some fuel burning procedures. So that's what I'm saying, which is very important that we understand what our landing weight will be. How do we factor that in?
Christian?
This is where I'm coming from.
Christian, you're talking advanced stuff. That's not part of what we are trying to discuss here. None of the flight simulator pilots that I know are going to simulate that unless it's a very highly pre-planned thing. The flight simmers in general don't go that far. So I'm comfortable taking that to a next stream or a different discussion.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
No need to be sorry. It's irrelevant to the actual flight planning side of things for right now. We just want the guys to be comfortable to set up a flight plan.
I was just just touching base on the landing weight. I think it's very important that we have our landing weight configured correctly on our destination airport. I think that's important, which I think skimmed across. I don't think we've touched on that, but that's very important.
Sure. Let me bring this thing up here. Let me show you.
Because there needs to be some landing weight calculation given the winds and the estimated fuel on arrival, and then how we can prepare for that from our flight plan.
Well,
because the flight plan gives us an estimate, it might not be accurate. That's my only
concern.
Sure.
It might not be, but we're still just simulating. We're still not really flying. So if you look at your OFP, even my PFPX does it, right? The top line that's not highlighted, or let me just put that in a different color for us now, right? The red line is the maximum. That is what the fuselage can carry. That's all it can do. That's max. The estimated takeoff weight, as you can see, is clearly much lower. 61 is much lower than 79. Your landing weight currently, as expected at your destination, is 59,661. There it says to you, if you are heavier than 66,360, you're going to have a problem. This is what you're referring to. So you're going to be too heavy, which means you're going to have to circle for 3-4 hours to dump fuel before you can land. Okay, so that is given, and I mean, if the person wants to simulate something like that, okay, somebody that doesn't have the the education to do something like that isn't going to simulate something like that. So it's going to be somebody who knows what he's doing, and he's obviously going to look at that. But an ordinary flight simmer doesn't care. He's not interested in that, and you know, even though it's given, if he's not into those kind of things, he's not going to simulate it.
I take it the Zibo, I'm not sure. Does it simulate fuel dumping by any
No,
chance?
the 737s don't. 737s have to circle for 3 hours.
Sorry, go ahead, Tim.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the arrival of. So what I was getting to is your estimated fuel, your estimated landing weight at your destination that may change by 3 tons or give or take or something.
No, I don't know.
So we need to counter for the winds and weather and all that. Do we need to look into this for preparation for flight planning?
No, not if you're
Because
using.
if you look at the progress, if you look at the flight plan down the page, you see the progress on the fuel.
Mm,
Do we need, let's say we have a first officer monitoring, do we need to every now and then just touch base on our fuel progress to make sure it aligns with what the flight plan says?
It will not align because Simbrief is not aligned with the Zibo. It's going to be close, but it will never align. So by saying to people, monitor it, you're going to get 300 people logging faults on the forum saying Zibo is not matching Simbrief. You know, so you're opening a can of worms that is not necessary. It's just not necessary at all. It will never match because whoever wrote the mathematical equations for Simbrief is using a default template, whereas Zibo is using the proper Boeing one. You know, that's related to his model of the aircraft. So it will never match, but it will be close. You see, this is again just a can of worms that's going to cause confusion because we're not simulating to that level. We're just not simulating to that level at all. You know, if you want to do it, by all means do it. But the average guy is not going to do it. I don't even do it.
You know how it says estimated fuel on board, and then there's a planned total fuel. You can see that.
Yeah. No, I'm well aware of that, Christian.
I think it's important for the guys to understand that this is just a template and it's just an estimate. That's what it means.
Yeah, it is. It's just an estimate. So we leave it at that. I mean, we're not here to split hairs, like I said in the beginning. All right, I'm quickly just going to do one more, just because I'll put it in the show notes below the video. Flights, new flight.
And yes, the remarks from Simbrief, controllers do look at it, so it's extremely important that you put those remarks accurately, whether your aircraft is RNAV capable or TCAS capable.
Yeah.
For example, 732, for example, you know, that it's different from the 738. Obviously non-RNAV.
Yeah. Christian, okay, we can leave all those things for the advanced guys later. Let me just quickly get my route matrix up on the board here, and let's quickly have a look. See, we'll do one more, and then we're going to go fly this. All right, so we're going to simulate flying from Johannesburg to King Shaka, and that is going to be our route over there. So I'm just going to put it in type route.
Will you be doing this offline or online?
What? The flight? No, I'm not going to fly on VATSIM because I do not fly VATSIM South Africa at all. And I'm just going to stream it, that's all. I'll just continue in the same stream. I mean, it's already running. All right, okay, so that is again the bare basics, guys, and we're going to look at filling in the blanks. So we're going to look for the weather first of all. All right, so runway 03 left is going to be active. I mean, that goes without saying. That is the preferred runway anyway. And if we go look at all those notes, you'll see same thing. So we're going to use runway 03 left. Beg your pardon, and then we need to connect the dots. Ooh, there's a couple going wide overseas. Man. Okay, so we have got the APDAK 3A and APDAK 1 Bravo. All right, so if we look at our little picture, I'm happy with that. Or if we look at,
It's such a cool tool, isn't it?
yeah,
It's
very, very
fantastic.
nice. All right,
The ATC Dream. It's a beautiful tool.
absolutely, absolutely. I'm going to take the outside one Bravo.
I guess the 3 alpha is also for noise abatement, I take it. Would you agree?
I know the one is RNAV and one is not. So I actually think that's the only difference between them. But I'm speaking under correction. I don't fly in South Africa that much. I mean, if you look at this airport, there's Roodepoort over there. So I stayed just before Roodepoort, right? Almost there where my hand is. That's how close I am to this airport. But I just don't fly in South Africa that much. The world is too big, too much to see. All right, and then we're going to quickly go look at the other one. Bob, George, are you guys okay now? Are you following me now?
We're there.
All right, arrivals is going to be a similar thing. Let's first of all look at our weather. All right, so 06 is going to be the active runway. We can take ILS-Z. I always take ILS-Z.
Could you bring up the departure chart when you get a chance? I'd love to have a look at it.
All right, and let's have a look, see which one. APMAT 1 alpha. There you go. ILS-Z, that also works for me. All right, Bob, cool. I just want to have a look, see at the RNAV, just have a quick look at that one. See, okay, now we have the same situation here. We don't really want that one. No, we want RNAV. All right.
It's all about planning, Nico, isn't it? That's how you do it. Yeah.
Everything is about planning. Okay.
That's all we have dispatchers to do this hard work for us.
Yeah, but as flight simmers, again, we are charged with so many responsibilities, right? So I just want to quickly put everything into its place where I know it should be. All right, guys, then, as you can see, that's obviously the better approach now. This is an RNAV approach, all right? But again, we have that little bit of overflow. So it's up to you whether you want to get rid of the overflow. That you will do in the legs page. Or you can go to the ILS and you can just go to final, for instance. So you can have vector yourself there. Or otherwise, like I said, I use the Z1. Let's just extend it a little bit further. Makes your vectoring a bit easier. And there you go. So in a nutshell, look how quick that was. It took me 5 minutes or less. And there, obviously that comes with experience. You know, there's the whole flight plan, including the SID and the star and everything that goes with that. So there you go, Christian. There's your chart.
Could we have a look at the departure chart, please?
Yeah, it's coming up. I'll just switch it on for you. Can you see it?
It's about 10-second delay from me. I'm watching the stream. Yeah, I see it. Oh, okay, so it's very standard. There's no VOR related or anything like that. And cross
no.
3 DME or something like that to inbound radio or something like that. It's a very simple approach. Departure. Sorry.
Yeah, this is standard RNAV. Nothing funny about it. Anyway, sorry, I just realized I could have lifted that. Okay, George, the transition altitude is a very interesting thing, but it's very simple. If you are below, thanks, Martin. I'm having a bit of milk tart here on the side. If you are below your transition altitude, and in Johannesburg, you can see here it's 8,000. If you are below 8,000, you will use the QNH of the airport to set your altimeter, and you will talk about 5,000 feet, 6,000 feet, 7,000 feet, or 8,000 feet. The moment you go above the transition altitude, you're going to switch over to standard pressure atmosphere, and you're going to then start talking about flight level. So 9,000 is not going to be 9,000 feet anymore. It's now going to be flight level 090, or 10,000 is now going to be called flight level 100. You understand? And then it goes up like that. That's just the way it is. The reason for that is to get the aircraft on the same barometric pressure, basically, so that you don't have collisions. And that's where your semicircular rule comes into, where if you're flying east, you have to be on odds. If you are flying VFR, it's odds plus 500. If you're flying west, you're flying on evens, and even plus 500 for VFR. You know, so that the guys don't collide into each other. That's where the whole transition thing comes into. So anything below transition altitude is just an altitude. Anything above that becomes a flight level.
And that tool that you discussed highlights both of that. So that's a great tool.
Yeah, I've just taken that out. I've closed it down. So, well, I hope this benefits some of you guys, that you guys can go and do this now. I just thought it would be fun doing it visually instead of just in hope that Simbrief gives you the correct information and then having to change it later, kind of a thing. So I wanted to just try it the other way around. Right, and that is our flight for now. We're going to do the one from Dublin to
So that's
Bristol.
very important, Nico. I mean, do look in this chart. You can see below 7,000 and below 8,000. That's very, very important. So, I mean, this is a different topic, but reading the charts, it's extremely important that the pilot, we can understand this.
Yeah, it is. It is. Christian, I think just to answer your curiosity, because I hear you fishing there quite badly. I'm planning on doing proper long-term training. Okay. I have been kept from doing it just because of real world commitments and also being quite busy with other stuff. So once I get my hands free, I will actually sit and I will create a whole training series where we can go, and have different, levels of training for different guys on different levels. And we'll talk again when we get to that stage. Right now, I feel like flying. Who's with me? Who's coming with me? I'm not going to
Yes,
fly on
please. Yes,
VATSIM.
please.
So we're going to take what we learned just now and we're going to put it into practice.
Let's be offline.
Yeah, I'm not going to fly online now. Oh, you're talking about that. George, that's basically the transition between the actual flight plan and the beginning or ending of the SID and STAR. That's all it is. If we go back to Navigraph, let me get it on the screen for you. What you can do is if you click on the line, that's your SID. In Navigraph, you can click on show the waypoint labels. And then once you have the label on there, you can clearly see your exit point for the SID is PESIT. All right. If you look at your STAR and you click on that line and you show its labels, you can clearly see that you have to put AVET. Again, this is something that is very nice seeing it visually, and what is nice is that Navigraph provides that. So when you do your flight planning like in this tutorial and you've got these tools available to you, there's no more guessing. All you have to do is just find that name and just use it in the transition. We'll do it now. We're going to run through it now.
Nico, I'll catch you later. I just
Alright.
have to crash to bed for tonight. It's a little
Okay.
pushing late. And I'll
Enjoy.
watch the video later. That's right.
Enjoy.
Thank you. Take care.
Guys, there's something I didn't want to say it, but I'm going to say it. There's something else. Remember from Simbrief, we actually exported the flight plan and it goes into your FMS output folder for the Zibo. I haven't done it in a long time, but the last time I did it, it never imported the SID and STAR into the aircraft itself. You still had to go and choose it. So what I'm going to do is I'll show you this one. If you go to flights, you can actually click on export and you choose X-Plane 11 and you just put your flight plan. Just make note of the name of it. Put it into your FMS plans folder. I'll show you the difference when we import this one versus the one that comes from Simbrief, because this one actually makes it even easier. If you export from Navigraph, it includes the rest.
Yeah, I was just going to ask about that.
Okay. Yeah, no, let's do that. So
That's the difference between exporting in X-Plane 10 and X-Plane
Yes.
11 format.
Yes.
But it's still using the same file extension.
Yeah. The one has just got a hell of a lot more information in it. So I'll show you guys. Right, so we're going to start our service cruise up and outdoors. Then I'm going to grab my OFP. I just want to get the correct one out. I don't want to fly from here to Providence. Oh, come on. Now you're flashing. Come on, go away. No, I didn't take it because Uncle John will freak out again. So I respected him today. I just said, no limo today. I took the bus. Check. I took the bus. Let me actually show you. There's my bus. I actually came with a bus.
You got me chuckling here now.
Yeah, I took the bus. Alright, okay, so let's have a look. See, this is... Oh, hang on, I can do it the other way now. Let me get rid of this display capture and run the Adobe capture now. Alright, so this comes from Ooh, that thing's big. Hold on. Wow. Yeah. Zoom. Oh man. Close. Oh, come on. Let's put it on 100%. Okay, that looks better. Alright, so let me move it. So this is what you just saw me create, you know, after all that we've done. This is the product, right? So if we scroll down, we're going to load 18.1. That's our payload. So it's given. You see it's given. Then we're going to look at fuel and we're going to go 5.3. And guys, please, before I forget, I wanted to mention this earlier, but I forgot then. Please make sure that you have the correct setting in your Zibo. If you have kilograms in Simbrief, you have to be on kilograms in the Zibo. If you have pounds in the Zibo, it's not going to work. And same goes for Simbrief. If you have to have the same unit of measure. Hello, Hakan. Otherwise, you're not going to get the correct calculations. Now, one of the things that you will see here, Hakan, you in? Can you hear me? Well, you are in, so just check your audio.
Hello.
Alright, yeah, you are in. We can hear you. Alright, so one of the things that you'll get if you use my settings for the Zibo, you can see it's pretty close. So we've got 64.8 on the takeoff weight, we've got 64.6 on the takeoff weight in the OFP. So that's as close as damn it is to a swear word, you know. I mean, we're not going to split hairs about that. One of the things that people also forget about when it comes to the Zibo is that 64.8 includes the taxi fuel. The 64.6 on the OFP is excluding the taxi fuel, so you have to allow a little bit extra on the tablet. Alright, so let's close that. That takes care. Yeah?
You understand, Uncle John?
Hello, buddy. I'm just letting Nico get on with it.
Yeah, okay.
Right, okay. We've done that. Let's get our GPU going. Let's call our field truck. Make sure the man's busy doing his job. That switch got stuck there. Can you believe it? Right, so I'm just going to run through the normal preparations as always now. Uncle John, are you ready to fly?
I'm gonna watch you.
Okay.
What is the temperature in the field, Nico?
14 degrees, Hakan.
I'm actually worn out after that.
Yeah, I can tell you one thing. I'm doing this on some milk tart. I don't know if you guys know what the milk tart is, but it's a nice South African tart. It's very nice. Only thing keeping me going still. And obviously,
You deserve something.
yeah, obviously I can't drop you guys now, so we're gonna do this proper. I wanna see if I can get this to work. I'm gonna get this. Nah. Okay, let me start my Ryanair flight. Start.
If weather was minus something, I wanted to ask, could you please apply ESCOM de-icing?
Okay, yeah, but it's not. Next time maybe. Next time.
Maybe next winter, you say.
Who knows? Global warming might catch us. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
Okay.
What is this IKO of this freaking place again?
Echo,
EGGD.
India, Delta, Whiskey.
No, other one. EGGD. I've never
Echo, Golf, Golf, Delta.
I've never ever flown to it, guys. In 20, 30 years of flight simming, I've never flown to this.
Put it this way, I'm aware of an EasyJet pilot who flies out of there, and even they have to do amendments to arrive there with their flight plan.
Oh, I'm sure, yeah. RYR 686. What's a total? Okay, guys, so before I go too far, I've just used the actual name given to the company route that I exported from Navigraph. So this is not the one that you get the 01 at the end for Simbrief. So just pay attention to that. I'm going to activate that and then I'm going to show you guys. If you go to your departure, it already includes your SID and your runway. Right, so it reads it already. Zibo is clever enough to do that, eh? The Zibo. Alright, there you can see your star is already in, your transition is already in, runway is already in. So the benefit of exporting from Navigraph instead of Simbrief is massive. Alright, I mean if you get confused with choosing these things, it would be nice if you could stick it out, learn how to choose them yourself, but if you really can't, just set up that plan in Navigraph, export it, and there you go.
Can I make a suggestion?
Yeah.
Something that I think is a neat little trick. If you're saving a flight plan for, say, the route today, EIDW-EGGD, and you want to name it so the specific runway routing, it's like if you add 2 letters after the end, you're taking off east, so put an E, and you're landing east, so you can put an E.
Okay. Oh, that's interesting.
Then you can have different variations of flying between the 2 airports depending upon what your departure and arrival runways are.
Understand. Oh, that's a neat trick. Yeah, thanks, McTry. Alright, okay, let's step through this thing. I've just done it once, it seems fine. So we're going to look for any discrepancies or jumping back, turning around and things like that. There's our bottom end, and then we're going to step back onto our runway with the RNAV. I think that's beautiful. I mean, now you have Simbrief in... what's the correct way of saying it? Simbrief, Navigraph, and the Zibo all have exactly the same plan. There's no discrepancies, nothing. It's exactly the same on all 3 platforms. It's a matching plan. That's what I wanted to say. So for me, when I do my planning and everything, that's very important. It's no point in having the one version in one app and then another one in another app, and then you get to the aircraft and it's changed again. I just like things like that, order. Alright, so what we're going to do is just get our checklist back up here. Alright, so our takeoff weight is estimated at 64.6, and I think it was 64.8, correct, that's true. Our fuel is 5.3, so it's not going to move, we know that's fine. Our reserves, we're quickly going to just calculate them. That's going to be 2,000, let's make it 2,550, so 2.5. That's good enough.
Nico, I
Yes.
have a brief question.
Yeah.
What are you working for right now? I see virtual AWOS. What?
Virtual AWOS. Hakan, I'll show you after the stream. It's a little tool that I've introduced to the guys that I used to use when I was still doing ATC work. It determines the runway for you, or it gives you guidance to determine the runway in use, because it shows you the wind and all kinds of weather information.
I see. Thank you very much.
Multitude of information.
Yeah. We're going to use a cost index of 6 according to Ryanair and our OFP. We're going to fly. See, now this is now, I can't remember what we filed, so we're going to have to find the ATC flight plan. It's 270. Alright, in this OFP, it doesn't have the same calculations as what I have. So the average wind here is kind of weird. When I look at the top of the climb wind, let's use the top of climb wind in this OFP. 316 at 15.
If I remember correctly, I had asked a question in an online group flight. That was like that. If weather is variable, how we can decide which runway is available if any station not online? I think this time, right now, you are answering this question.
Yes, yeah, and I'll do that for you just after the show.
You know, someone misunderstood me and no one answered me because probably they found my question silly. But what I wanted to say, you are answering right now. Thank you.
No problem, no problem. Okay, Hakan, it's probably not that they found your question silly, it's probably they didn't know. That's more reasonable. They didn't know, so they can't answer you.
I see. Okay, thank you.
Arkham, there's no such thing as a silly question.
Okay. Guys, now with Simbrief, you obviously don't get the top cat calculations that I get with my PFPX. So I just want to mention a cool rule of thumb that I used to use, which I got from a real pilot once. So he said to me, and you got to obviously understand there's a bit of experience that needs to come in with that, so just bear with me. I'm going to give you the basics and then you can go play with it and, you know, amend it to suit yourself. But if you look at your outside temperature, you've got 14, so you have to multiply it by 2. That gives us 28, but the SEL temperature cannot be less than 30. It's not supposed to be. It can be, but not supposed to be. Alright, so I'm going to multiply by 2 and add 5, so we're going to end up with 33. And we're going to take a derated takeoff 2, and then we're going to climb at normal speed because it's a really short flight. We don't want to run out of breath before we get to top of climb. Alright, so to just recap, you can take your outside temperature, multiply by 2, add 5 or 10. You know, you'll work it out. The idea is don't go below 90% on your N1 over there. If you round about 90 to 95 on N1, you can manipulate the SEL temperature to stay between 90 and 95. Just make sure you've got enough runway length for it, please. So, like I said, there's a bit of experience necessary, but that's a good rule of thumb if you just don't have a performance calculator and you want to get something in there.
Why did you choose
Takeoff 2 is most widely used because it's a derated takeoff. It doesn't use as much power on the engine, but it's good enough for a takeoff. So we're saving the engine basically. I can go back and I can take the original non-derated one as well, but then your N1 is probably going to be 96 or 97 for takeoff. The question is, do you really need all that power to take off? I don't know.
Not really.
You see? Yeah.
Nico, what you explained is actually ATC's job.
No, it's the dispatcher's job to give you that.
I mean, yeah, okay, right. We don't need to take care of too much as a pilot.
No, we don't. But again, we're simulating. You know, this has been mentioned a few times in the stream when you were not here. There are certain things we feel we want to simulate and certain things we don't want to simulate. You know, and it's going to be up to the simulator pilot to decide how far he wants to go or not. You know, to see how far he takes it. So I'm giving options, and the guy must then just decide on his own what he's gonna do or not. You know.
I don't want to express myself. Won't be any information, of course, so valuable. Just I want to say as a
Yeah.
pilot what I need to do. So
Of course.
okay, thank you.
No worries. Okay, you guys won't believe it, but I never started my active sky. I better get my active sky going.
Echo India Delta Whiskey Airport information Foxtrot 1030 Zulu weather wind 112 at 10 visibility 10,000 sky condition few clouds at 1,200 2,400 scattered ceiling 4,400 broken temperature 7 dew point 3 QNH 1019 advise on initial contact you have information Foxtrot Echo
Echo, India, Delta, Whiskey, airport information, Golf 1030 Zulu.
Alright. Always nice to have the voice meter played. Alright, who's next? What's next? Oh, how many minutes are we? 12 minutes. Okay. Let's welcome them on board.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the flight deck, welcome aboard our flight today. We're wrapping up the final paperwork here to get you on your way momentarily. I want to thank you so much for your company, and we invite you to sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. Again, welcome aboard.
Captain, have time to fasten seatbelt sign. We do ask that all passengers take your seat at this time and please fasten your seatbelt.
13 minutes.
We cannot leave the gate until turn out.
Thank you, George.
All overhead bins are closed and all passengers
Bye-bye.
Bye, George.
145.
Uncle John Hakan is speaking.
Sorry?
Hakan is speaking.
Hakan.
I can
So-
hear you.
I'm streaming. I'm going to share my link while I'm approaching to my destination.
Okay, thank you for that.
I almost confused me here, Uncle John,
Why?
because in all the talk that we did, we were talking about doing it according to the rules using runway 28 and according to using runway 10 according to being a flight simulator. or flight simulator pilot, and I almost forgot we did actually choose runway 10. You know, we didn't go to the rules, and I was looking at the wrong chart again. I had to fix it just now. It's Hakan's fault. Every time he comes here, there's a chart fault.
You know, just I wanted to ask 1 minute ago, Nico, do you have 10 or 16 in your destination?
Yeah, no. It's in my departure. I've got yeah, I've got 10. Martin, it's very easy to understand. I've mentioned this a few times. Jorge, whose voice you are hearing in that announcement, this one.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the flight deck, welcome aboard our flight today. We're wrapping up the final paperwork here to get you on your way.
So that's Jorge, and he's one of my best friends in the world, you know. So I like to have him in the cockpit with me. He always laughs when he hear me say that. But I mean, we're a good team, you know. And I prefer to have him than you know, a Ryanair recording. That's just me personally. And Jorge is also, he's a real world 7-3 qualified pilot, so you know, just lends a bit to my immersion in the system. Alright, okay, where are we? Time, 16 minutes. Let's get this APU going. 1, 2, 3.
Time's going up, it's 13.
Yeah, it's 17 now, so we can actually send the other guys on them anyway.
Wrong way round. We've got 3 minutes to go before.
Ah, you are going Bristol.
Yes, sir.
That place is Airbus's wing installation.
Okay.
In the industry.
Urameshi, hello.
Filton, sorry. Filton, I confused. Filton. Airbus assembly.
Yes, Martin, I suppose so. You know, seeing as I own the aircraft and I only lease it to Ryanair, you know, I think I can handle, you know, doing that. Right. What else? What else do we need? Ground services. Better pushback. Request pushback.
Ground to cockpit. Please show me where you want to go.
I'm not in front of computer for a while. Sorry for interrupting. See you later.
Okay, bye-bye.
Ground to cockpit. Tow is driving up.
Right, so that's done. Let's get the fuel pumps on, beacon on. Let's put some air in the cabin so the guys don't choke.
Flight attendants prepare for departure, cross check and all call, thank you.
Okay, all doors and hatches are closed. Ready to connect.
Okay, have to wait 10 seconds more.
Tow connected and bypass pin inserted. Release parking brake. Starting pushback, and you may start engines.
Yeah, it's just to there's two reasons really. The first one is just for time, and the next one is I'm not familiar with the actual proper real world pushback operations on this airport. I was flying online a while ago, and I did my normal pushback onto the taxiway, and the ATC guy had a heart attack. He started screaming at me and asking me questions like, don't I know what I'm doing, and all kinds of absolute nonsense. I mean, I don't have time for childish behavior like that. I just ignored him and so on. And so from then on, it's like, ugh, whatever.
Just to add to that, some countries, if you actually look at the tax or the ramp charts, they actually specify pushback points,
Yeah.
especially in America.
Yeah. McTrying, this is a simulator, man. Some guys just really upset other people.
That's what I'm
Operation
saying.
complete.
So
Go ahead and set the parking brake.
person who was making the comment on ATC is the difference between
Disconnecting tow. Stand by.
Yeah.
like Simmer and somebody who's seriously into it.
Yeah.
Tow is disconnected and bypass pin has been removed. Hand signal on the left. We'll see you next time and have fun up there.
Oh, we are sure going to try, believe me. Danke, let's go. Messi, you're right. We all were trained as ATC to help pilots. But it looks like some of the new generation guys that has come along has got a bit of a chip on the shoulder that needs to be cut out still, And we'll work on that as we get there. Hey, Mert. Yes, Mert. Zibo updater is cool. I highly recommend getting that. You can't use it yet for the full install, but you can use it for the updating. It works wonderfully. Matthias did a very good job with that program, I must be honest.
I use it all the time.
Yeah, me too. Unless I have to pull it from another place, you know. There are,
Unless it's a new full version.
yeah, there are times that I can't use it, but that's me. In terms of an ordinary user, yeah, it's a wonderful, wonderful product. Alright, so there's nobody here. I'm just gonna cross.
Approaching 3, 4.
Uncle John. Don't know what I would do without him sometimes. Mert, you cannot use experimental flight model in X-plane. You have to switch it off. The Zibo has its own flight model, and when you have the experimental on, you are sabotaging the Zibo. So you have to switch the experimental flight model off in X-plane. Yes, it's always been forbidden, except when it's explicitly said that you must. You never ever use the experimental flight model with Zibo, unless he tells you to, which he did a couple of versions ago, but that's over now.
Unless, of course, you want problems.
Yeah, of course, if you want problems, you can use it.
Eurocontrol is available, Nico, in Boston.
That's his problem. I'm not on WhatsApp, Marcon, so I'm okay.
I'm passing Nottingham right now.
Awesome. Where are you going to and from?
From Edinburgh to Eindhoven, Ryanair destination.
Eindhoven, okay.
I'm opening real Ryanair's departure and destinations. I pick my routes and generally what I realize 400, 500 nautical miles route.
Okay.
Just fly safely.
Yeah, I'm in safe.
Not with, that blonde, not with that blonde sitting next to you. Deborah.
You guys.
Nico, we get sidetracked.
I know. Men will be men, I suppose. You know, in the beginning, when I started my channel, there was an Australian lady that used to follow me. I cannot recall her name, but she just disappeared halfway through somewhere. One day she just never came back.
What did you do?
No, I've racked my brain. I didn't do anything. We were talking about the Commonwealth and how South Africa was part of the Commonwealth, and she said to me she didn't realize. And that was...
The problem is you didn't do anything. This is the problem.
Okay. Well, I'm married. I can't do
Sorry, back down.
No problem. actually. So sometimes I feel myself like a married, but I'm not. However, it doesn't matter. You can ask something politely, maybe drinking coffee for making a friendship.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
I don't think that's implemented yet.
No, no, no. Mert, you
It
can.
doesn't work in the world.
Hold on, Nakan. Mert, you can, but you need to switch it. You need to tell the updater to do this specific aircraft. As far as I know, you have to do it from the offline installer. It doesn't download those updates for you automatically. But once you've set the updater to the other one, you can do the offline installer recipe and it will update it for you. Yeah.
Josie, let's go there.
Uncle John, is that true?
Yeah.
Let's not go there.
Hang on.
Uncle
Yeah,
John,
yeah, you guys are messing my runway entry procedure up again. Okay, go. Now I've done my bit.
Uncle John, may I ask a special question?
It depends what the question is.
Are you married?
No, I'm a single guy.
Nico, you understand what I mean in this case?
Yes, I do. So
Okay, the cabin is secured.
he's safe. He can still do it. I'm gonna get in trouble.
Okay.
Right, let's go.
Approaching 10. On runway 10.
It's my daughter. She's asking me questions.
E1.
Possibly. $400. $1,000.
Come on, click.
Well,
Okay.
I did it twice. I reset the system, and suddenly the baggy dropped. After I lifted my gear, I didn't wait for all the lights to go out before I centralised the gear lever back into the middle. It was as simple as that. In other words, if I'd have done an outside view, I would have seen that my wheels were still not retracting. Don't get caught with that.
I was
Very frustrating.
absolutely.
Are you flying this route time as well, Scott?
No, I will be once I'm finished.
empathy, sir.
Mert, you have to download the full zip package and you must not unzip the fix. And then what happens is you put it somewhere where the updater can pick it up, and then you obviously have to tell the updater where the aircraft is installed. And then you click on the patch button and then it will install it. If you unzip the file, it won't work. If you don't have the file, it won't work. So, and if you don't set it to the correct aircraft, it won't work. So these are the parameters you need to set.
Nico, as far as I realized, Mert is Turkish. If you want, I can say something in Turkish to him for your information.
Well, if Mert wants to speak Turkish, then he can speak to you.
Okay, I'm waiting for her information on YouTube.
Redo not disturb the pilot until reach 2000. What's the point? He eats ice cream on arrival, he eats it on the way out, all the way in. Doesn't make any difference.
Eyvallah Mert. Let me say something in Turkish. Hocam önerilir. Programı önerilir. Nedir onun ismi? Zibo updater önerilir ama bazen hata veriyor. Okay, I said Zibo updater is preferable. That's it.
Alright, well now we're just climbing and climbing and climbing.
If I can, do you remember the promotional video from Turkish with some little kids trying to assemble a runway in his town?
Yes, I remember that one.
Yeah, can you share it, please? If it is not a problem for you.
Find it on YouTube quickly.
Right, key vocabulary, please.
I think I will find it for you and maybe send a link in the Zibo Pilot group. But you can search on YouTube and maybe Turkish Airlines, little kids, and something has to come up. I think it's one of the most emotional videos related to aviation that I have.
Let me take really, I don't remember that video, so I need some vocabulary search.
Try Turkish Airlines, little kids.
I'm laughing at my friend Joe. Joe, are you still on stream with us?
No, I couldn't.
No, I'm talking to Joe.
No, I am talking about video. Arkahan, please share it. You can send me as a private message maybe.
How are we doing, you okay?
Excellent, Joe. Excellent. I just like that post you made of the AWAS. So I smiled. Why? Come back. Come back. You must tell me. Remember, if you don't talk for 5 minutes, it will remove you from the channel. So there you go. I've put you back. You're back. You're back. You must just tell me.
Okay, thank you.
Pleasure, pleasure. Yeah, I just saw your post there. I just had to like it, and I was giggling, wondering if you're still here.
Yeah, if I don't key the mic, it kicks me off.
Yeah.
It does it for everybody.
Yeah, even for me, that's the way I set it up because of previous bad experiences with people on Discord. So.
No worries.
And at this point, anybody wants any questions outside of flight planning? It's all good.
Oh, please just don't split hairs.
I picture Uncle John with a baseball bat.
Yeah. He's captained the other way around, peak going to the back of the head, you know, waiting.
Just bear in mind I'm very protective of Nico, so.
By the way, I know this video. If you want to learn something about that, I can explain. Or
Yorkie's spoken to you, Uncle John.
Oh, sorry. I do apologise. My mind was somewhere else. Say again.
No, it's there in chat. He says, "I'm good, Uncle John. Thanks, and you."
Yeah. Yeah, I'm fine, thank you, Yorkie. It's just good to see you on stream.
Yeah.
I know this video. I can. Thank you.
Yes, I can hear you, but don't worry. I don't need to know anything about it. I just wanted to talk about, because you are from that country, and I think it's a nice video to watch for us who like it.
Yeah, it's a kind of advertising of Turkish Airlines for people who live in southeast of Turkey. Southwest of Turkey, even for west of Turkey. You know, there are some problems politically there. In order to improve their wings, Turkish Airlines taking care of.
Okay.
Oh, thank you. Good to know.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
It was just an observation that I've got over the last many months.
Yeah.
If you look at the heading of this particular video, it says visual planning, flight planning, Navigraph and Simbrief. General discussion on that subject. It would be useful for Nico, especially because he knows working very hard to produce things, and he has to keep his head together. But we don't diversify and start going off in tangents and start going on about other subjects, including obviously flying online. It's got nothing to
advanced
do with
stuff.
it.
Yeah.
We're talking about visual flight planning and Navigraph. That's what this vid's about, and it would be useful if people remembered that on their questioning. Outside of that actual tutorial, yeah, ask away, no problem at all. Nick is more than happy to answer your problems. Just bear that in mind, please.
I'm sitting here looking at my channel. This YouTube broadcasting thing has really gone haywire on me. I haven't stopped or restarted or did anything with the broadcasting side of things, but for some reason it seems it's now split this video into 3 sections. So I'm not sure if it's the same video, if it's remembering portions of the previous botched videos, or if it's splitting them. I'm not sure what it's doing, but it's kind of annoying. I'm gonna have to go back to the previous way of broadcasting, because this is not hilarious, haha, as in funny, but hilarious as in bloody annoying that they've changed this whole broadcasting thing so much. I'm gonna either study a lot to understand it better and fix my problem if I'm doing something wrong, or go back because this is crazy. Sorry, Joe.
Isn't there a time limit on these YouTube videos?
I also don't know. I really don't know. I've done videos of more than 4 hours without an issue, and this is only 3 hours and a half now, so not even 4.
May I ask a question here?
Yeah, yeah.
Is there any relation about my speech on this group?
A relation?
What you are talking about right now?
I'm not sure what you're talking about.
So you are talking about, if I understood correctly, speaking something different in the stream.
No, not at all, not at all, no. The streaming software upgraded and YouTube upgraded. So now YouTube is running 2 ingress servers in an old format, and then they've got a new multitude of ones that's dynamically assigned. The dynamically assigned ones wants me to broadcast at 480p, which was a problem, so we stopped the stream. People can't watch 480p, that's nonsense. So we stopped it. We then forced it onto 1080, which nobody's complained about, so I presume the stream quality is good. Okay. At the same time, I deleted all the old and irrelevant portions of the botched, given up streams that we tried before this one. But for some reason, when I go to my channel now, there's 3 videos with the same name as this one, and I'm not sure if it's going to tie everything together at the end, if it's, I don't know why it's doing that. In my mind, it's supposed to show one that's live now, and that's the only one it should be concerned about. Why there's one worth 57 seconds and why there's one worth 27 minutes and 13 seconds, I don't know yet. We'll find that out. I just hope that YouTube didn't mess up the stream, because I kind of worked hard in this one. I mean, really.
I think you may well have answered the question for yourself.
Yeah.
Just confirm that that's all the same name.
Well, they are all the same name, but remember, the name we see is not the file name. The name we see is what I give it. But behind the scenes, this video is called XYZPQ 1, 2, 3, 10, 11, 12, 15 ABC. You understand? It's got a weird name because of the way that YouTube indexes. It does not use our names, because if you think about it logically, if I put a video on here called Zibo, and you put a video on here called Zibo, and the next guy put a video on here called Zibo, you've got 3 or more files with the same name. The system won't cope with that. You can't have 2 files with the same name. So yeah, so behind the scenes, these files have got vastly different names to what we see. The thing is, you could be christened as being John Friedrich Edward Reynolds. We don't know that. I don't know if you've got more names. I've never asked you, but we only know you as Uncle John. That's what we call you. So we call the video visual flight planning, but meantime back at the ranch it's christened something totally different or extra.
Yeah, my second name is Bastard.
No, I don't know you as that, so let's keep it off air. It's not important. You're not one of those, as far as I know. You see, that's just the way these guys do it. I don't know. On the surface, it seems an intelligent, nice way of doing it now, the whole broadcasting thing, but in practice, it seems to be a problem. It really. It's not important. You're not one of those, as far as I know.
This is an ideal time for anybody that does want to ask questions.
Oh, I need to prep. Please ask away, Jose.
No, it's just that I've got
Yeah. Not really setup tutorials. I've got tutorials about using them, but not the setup tutorials. I've now wasted so much time. There's not going to be time to actually fill in all these things now. We'll see now. We'll see. See if we can push it in. Ooh, this is an EGNOS approach. Ooh, I didn't check. I didn't see beforehand. What's our transition altitude? 6,000. Right, I'll come back to that page if I've got time. Let's quickly set up the rest first. Oh, before we do that, before we run out of time, let's start. And we need
There are cockpit from.
I missed that completely. Was that towards me?
Yes, I think you should go to a sterile cockpit.
Oh, sterile cockpit. Yeah, I need to think about what I'm doing.
Hello,
right.
Nico says hello, he's rather busy. Does sterile mean no ice cream on descent?
We won't go there.
Yeah, there's no ice cream, nothing in front of me now. Now I'm actually thinking 87. We'll double check it in the efficiency just now. Alright, so we're going to do the LPV EGNOS approach, so we can go to 800 and 63. What's our QNH? 1018.
He's trying to get in front of himself.
Yeah, it's all part of the descent preparation checklist. I don't like surprises. I've said it already. If you are prepared, nothing can surprise you. Alright, okay. Good, so we're pulling back. Let's get our seatbelt signs on.
Would you like to show us something realistic in FMC while we are approaching?
You'll see what I show you and you won't see what I don't show you. How's that?
I told you.
Right, what are we looking at? Temperature wise, it's a fall.
Not aware that Zibo's going to 600.
Matt, please ask some questions in English because they don't understand.
No, I don't mind. I can help him. I don't mind. I'm busy anyway, so please help if you can.
He's asking something private about the. Am I coming from the Netherlands? Yes, I'm from Netherlands. I was born in Netherlands, but I'm living in Turkey.
Hang on, auto brakes to 2 is not for descent, it's for landing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's got nothing to do with descent. It's for landing. Once the tires hit the tar at the bottom, it needs to start braking. Right, so that takes care of that page for us. We've got all of that programmed. Right. Next. GLS, so we go 45333. 45333.
Man, how do you know where I born?
He's your cousin, you just don't know it, man.
I don't know, we are going to see whether he's my cousin or not.
Yeah.
I've got a copy of your birth certificate, so I know.
We all in the world are cousins.
Yeah.
Exactly what they I'm agree.
Okay, I'm actually going to use auto brake 3. Have a look here.
It's not a particularly long runway.
That's the thing. The runway is 2011 meters, so we've got 200 meters, approximately 200 more than minimums, which means that we're going to have to brake properly or going to go off.
Would you like to say something to Mark Conrad? Schematic?
No, what must I say? So, from Holland, so he immigrated. Ah, yeah, no, he's a clever guy. Both of you are clever guys.
Okie dokie, but we met almost 6-8 months ago with...
Oh, so you know him?
No, with you.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
Weather's looking a lot better down here.
Having the ground in about 15 minutes. Want to thank you so much for your company and business, and hope to see you again with us sometime very soon.
Are you looking to set the landing height elevation?
What do you mean?
Well,
I've already done
sorry,
everything.
DAH.
Set.
Decision altitude.
I've set. It's 863.
Ah, sorry. I beg your pardon.
No worries. Oh, we're gonna do the EXMOR LPV approach.
Yes, I appreciate that. I just didn't want you to get caught down when you set the altitudes.
Yeah.
I'm amazed with all the instructions he's actually set it up in time.
Nico Matt is asking, do I have any relation with Zibo? I said no. I am fan of Zibo. I like Zibo, but actually I'm an Airbus pilot in the virtual aviation ambient. However, after Zibo, I started flying with Zibo Note 7378.
Uh-huh.
So my relation is getting increased day by day with Zibo, actually, but not technically as a.
Yeah, not personally.
Yes, he does use speed brake and it will be set.
Speed brake is not necessary above 10,000 feet unless it is a life-threatening VNE problem where you cannot exceed the speed. Otherwise, you only use it below 10,000 and also before flaps 15. So there's a couple of parameters that we take into account. And then the other thing is, I mean, you'll see the Zibo lifts its nose when it needs to. It's really cool.
I misread that. I thought it meant onto brakes.
Okay. Yes, Bob, I agree. I agree. I'm gonna have to be more strict about that.
I'm glad you appreciated those comments.
I'm almost in final, Uncle John.
Yeah, okay. I do apologise. I'm concentrating on Nico at the moment for a couple of reasons.
Okay, thank you.
You see, there goes the speed brake because I'm in a dive turn to catch up with the profile, and obviously we are fast for 10,000. So I'm doing what I can to brake now, and then going for the lights and ignition. Look at this cloud. It looks like you can just put your hand out and just play with it.
I'm flying with you, and I'm flying the north through, and just looking at the difference, I'm in more cloud than you are.
Okay.
So even sort of like 20 miles difference, it's surprising.
Nico, you started that timer when you hit the runway?
Pushback. When I started pushback.
Basically, it's an engine start, isn't it, Nico? That's the object.
Yeah. If I do it correctly, I usually do it the second after I release my parking brake. I usually switch it on.
Do you time how long it takes to set the airplane up from cold and dark to pushback?
I do, but I use the chrono for it. So you use the top, let me go to the other side. You use the stop switch, that's just a chrono, it just counts up to 59 minutes and then it, where am I going?
It doesn't include hours.
Yeah, it starts from 0 again. So what I do is when I start the VA utility to track my flight, I have to be on the ground for 20 minutes. That's why I use the chrono. Then what I do is I stop the chrono like that, and then at pushback I then start the ET, that's the elapsed timer, because it includes hours.
share it.
On Facebook, Fedi Marcelli tagged me in a post about the winter add-on. You must check his nice pictures. He says it seems to be close to North Pole. He's landing at Budapest in the snow. Looks cool.
Negatives out. I shall be flying after this is all finished. So I need a check with you. I needed to concentrate on the actual tutorial this morning. Hi Joshua.
Sounds like a Rottweiler in the background.
Yeah. Hey Joshua, welcome.
Sounds great.
The little male
Thousand to go.
has got a nasty habit. He likes to go and fetch a biscuit. And then he puts it down on the floor, and then the female sees it, and what then happens is she starts, to go crazy, and he doesn't want to give it to her, and that's when the fights usually break out. Joshua, I have no idea when I'm flying in SA again. We'll have to see, mate. I don't know. There's the runway. We're on that EGNOS approach. It's taking it beautifully. But I'm fast, so I've put my gear down to help me slow down. I'm gonna put out the flaps as fast as I can, down to flaps 30.
Considering for
And now I've got the sun in my eyes. The blind has been lifted way over my screen. Can you believe it? Well, I've walked past and she pulled the wire. I didn't notice because I was sitting slumped. Now that I need to sit for the landing, got a surprise. I need to be on 2,000 for the go. 3,000 for the go around. Everything is set. Right. Brakes, gears, screen. And lights all done.
Approaching 09.
1,000 feet, stabilized, Mr. Burchell, 67.
Thank you.
Mike, Nico.
Ah?
Heavy breathing.
Huskies. Sorry.
Approaching minimums.
We are almost then same time.
Excellent.
Minimums.
Thanks, Uncle John. Yeah, you have to. You have to do what you have to do. Oh, look at the slope.
100. 50. 40. 30. 20. 10.
5,000 feet remaining.
Yeah, I've never landed in my life this time, never.
Okay, I can see rising runway.
Yeah, it's got a crown on it.
No, he's talking on the primary flight display. I've noticed a few things that are not in this version that was removed. All part of the plan. It will come back, don't worry.
Sounds like moving.
Thank you.
Good to know, thank you. Nice landing, my friend, nice
twin.
John, you're a real world pilot?
Yep, I'm licensed PPL.
Well, Yorkie, I didn't have to make an excuse this time. I was actually kind of okay. Believe it or not. Right, flaps up. And me starting. I have no idea where to park. Hold on. Let's first observe. Let's see where are we going to. Well, I suppose knowing Ryanair, they're gonna park somewhere here, so let's just go park there.
Quite a tight turn.
Yeah.
Nicely done, man.
Thank you very much. What I need to do is log it, and then I want to do a replay.
This is not a payway airport, is it?
Negative. Nope.
It even has a marshal.
Yeah. Joe, as far as I know, if you look in the vRYR scenery chat room, it should be there. If it's not, tell me, then I'll put it there and you can copy it.
No, it's there.
It is there.
Alright, in actual fact, let's just keep that off. Let's just go. Oopsie. Wow, this was a long stream, guys.
I thought you did extremely well, actually, Nico.
Thank you very much.
Learned a lot.
Good. As long as you
Could do with a fair bit of editing, to be honest.
Yeah, that's what I would agree with, you know, because to hang in here for 3.5 hours is a long time.
The issue, look, if I do this as a video opposed to a live stream, okay, it's going to take me 3-4 days to create what you guys got in 3 hours. The editing is a big thing, but when I do the proper training, I'm thinking seriously of rather doing it that way, because all the tangents that everybody runs off on that's irrelevant during such a stream is kind of painful.
I think for a tutorial, I wasn't going to say this live, but I'm going to. I think you need to do it off stream.
Yeah.
Stick with the program. Whatever you want to teach people, do it without anybody else
Interfering.
coming on board.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so. I think so. For the proper ones, we'll do it that way. For the fun ones, we'll just do it like we do now. You know? But
Yeah, that's a great point.
yeah.
It's hard work creating a tutorial, and I personally am extremely grateful to Nico for the time and effort he puts into it without being sidetracked and diversified and everything else. You know, he has to keep everything flowing so everybody's understanding what he's trying to get over. And when you get somebody keep pushing you off to a different tangent, it must be hell.
Although I think the questions that are related to the tutorial are important because
Yes.
you know there are questions that help us all learn. As long as they're on point, though. You know?
Yeah, but the point is a lot of people don't understand what the topic is, and they've got something else in the mind, and that takes it off topic.
Yeah, don't worry about it now. We'll sort it out. I've got a general idea of, you know, what happened and what shouldn't have happened, and we'll fix it next time. Wow, that looks so cool.
What are you talking about? Is there any relation about my attitude?
No, Hakan, you're not involved.
I'm gonna say we're only talking about you, Harkin. You shouldn't be listening.
No.
Okay, because you are tutoring to people, but we were talking something funny.
No, Hakan, your story came in after the big tutorial. This is just the cherry on the cake, me doing the flight now of the tutorial. But during the tutorial, there were 2 or 3 times that we went off topic, which we shouldn't have done.
Answer to your
then
question,
I feel happy right now.
Yeah,
So, whenever you say something about this issue, please just directly tell me, okay?
I will. I'm not scared of you, Hakan, but I've got no problem with you. I'll tell you if I have. Wow. No.
How can you terrify me?
I've got an 11-inch knife. It's sharp on both ends. He won't see it coming, I'm telling you. Hakan.
Say again, please.
I say I have an 11-inch knife. It's sharp on both sides. You will not see it coming.
I see.
It's a joke, Hakan. Just a joke.
I know.
That's a nice view.
Very nice view. I actually want to just watch it, but zoomed out a little bit further one more time. Ooh, there's a boat. Okay, fine. Imagine standing in that tower, taking this view.
Yeah, nice.
That airport has sexy curves in the runways.
Very nice. Very, very, very nice.
Did you hear my reply, Bob? The answer to it was no, not yet.
Okay. So the big question now is, did YouTube save this file? Did it split it up? If so, why? You know, I don't know. Let's see. But gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. Guys on Discord, hang tight. I'll be with you now. Let me say thank you and goodbye to the guys on stream. It was awesome having you guys here, and thank you. I know it's long, but I'm pretty sure you guys got some coffee or something to drink in the interim anyway. So thank you for joining me, and I hope to see you guys again when the next stream comes. I'm not sure when that is. I'm kind of pushed today. Wow. When it's over 4 hours. So I'm going to take a bit of a rest, and we'll talk later. Bye-bye.
Nico, thank you. Appreciate it.
Pleasure.
Thanks, Nico.
Pleasure,
Cheers,
guys.
Nico.
Thank you very much, Nick.